Thank you.
truck and a four-wheeler, and
Yep, we're going along good on that.
Doug refused to walk down Aspen because he had the tripod set up. Come on. You baby.
Ben?
Hi, Ben. Skipping out of work, Ben?
Here, you can sit there, Dave. I'll sit up here, actually.
I sent Tony a text, told him I know where you
On the
are.
camera.
Yeah, I went, actually, 1 o'clock I left and had meetings, so.
Missed you Sunday.
Yeah, we were at dance practice, or dance recital.
That's what I think they said.
Yeah, cause I had talked to
Or
Dr.
Sonia.
Sonia,
Okay.
and yeah, it was, yeah.
They're going with fireworks and a carnival.
Oh, really?
Mhm. Yeah,
How did we swing this?
because nobody showed up, so the vote went.
Okay.
So it was, Heidi came late,
Okay.
probably 6:30, because I was about 6:20. And then it was Corey and Lori and Sonia, me, Missy from Girl Scouts, and her husband. That's it.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Did they,
So-
did they have carnival picked out then, or?
I believe so. 9 games, 6 rides, or 6 games, 9 rides. I don't remember how
Okay.
it goes, but it's 6 and 9, and then 3 food vendors.
Okay, so that must have been the one that she was already talking about, that she already had that. Okay.
I just don't remember the name of them.
Because I had done a little bit of looking and contacted back to my hometown.
Grab a pack if there, I
asked
have
them
them,
that.
I would have guys and sit over there.
Oh,
There's a pack
They,
over, yeah, that's good, that's all there is, and one of these maps.
Wristbands. $20 a whole.
See, there's just like 50.
I can just throw theirs, you guys.
But she's gonna double check it.
She's on app.
And then they were thinking like $20 for like 4-hour spans or something like that. But she didn't know the whole thing on it,
Okay.
and she's gonna check on individual ticket prices too.
Okay. Yeah, that's where I, so if I need to contact the who's in charge of our back home, because I don't know pretty well, her son and my son, good friends, so.
Yeah, it was like $3,000.
I think that.
2,500. It started at 3, they got it for 25. So, to have them come out, so. If we sell, pre-sale, we can almost make that back.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I know that's what theirs is they sell, I think they have 200 wristbands and $2 a piece. And if they do
About
that,
time, Justin?
then they,
Maybe a minute slow.
they, everything after that is, I think they give like 50% back to the city,
mhm,
so.
yeah.
And their pre-sale wristbands go.
At $20 for a week, you can't have that, but if these are $50,
There's a couple chairs in there.
That's,
could be high.
yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, she's gonna double check and get back to us and let us know. And then,
You,
Burrell, Pat Burrell is doing fireworks
okay.
for $3,000.
He's the
The
one
one
from
away, really. Corey more so than anybody is scared of it.
I'm
Because
Barb's
they are
gonna take care of all that, so I don't know. No, I don't even, I
Once
don't
you
have
put
any idea.
$3,000 into a carnival, $2,500 into, or whatever, 3,000 into it.
There's a couple chairs on that end.
$2,000
Yeah,
into
well,
inflated
so they found the
gas.
markers in there?
And we kind of calculated it out,
Yeah.
5 items, they were just under 12. They only had
Oh,
2
good
million,
thing to have.
so they're cutting it.
Anybody sitting here?
Lloyd is sitting there and Barb.
Ah, good.
So, yeah, it's, budget's tight. Oh, sorry. You're on City Hall. You said it.
Yeah. Help you, get off the pre-sale wristbands.
Well, Corey talked about, she has 4 candidates,
Okay.
so if you did 25 each candidate, for 100, and they got the money. So,
So your table's been right, or you?
Yeah. Competition between them.
Right.
yep, yep,
Smash
so,
on a little bit.
yep.
No, I don't even know if this was one correct over there.
Oops.
Oh. Look at that.
I'll open the windows, it's kind of stuffy in here, isn't it?
Oh, little cat, happy family.
I guess everybody's here that's gonna be here, right? So we'll call this meeting to order, with full council, city clerk, city administrator, Justin Angus. Justin, you're gonna give a survey on the information you collected?
Yeah, did everybody get a sheet? You guys can't go in. Was there any extras or? is there anything else in there? Okay, so we, based on, the last meeting we had to discuss this, we went out and we, did the survey like we had discussed, and I just wanted to spend a few minutes to kind of review the results of the survey with you and, let you know what we found. First of all, probably the simplest thing, on the west side there, the back property lines, the blue dots, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blue dots. Those are property irons that we did find in place, so we did not have to set those, and those are all in place. So those are good to go. And then, the other thing, that probably we'll focus on a little bit is the water elevations of the pond. First of all, looking at the center of the pond, maybe I'll make this map here a little bit. The center of the pond here, the green line in the center is the surveyed pond bottom, so that's actually the actual pond bottom out there today. That's at an elevation of 966. And this other kind of pink line around here is an approximate original design pond bottom location. And that was originally supposed to be at a 966, so the pond bottom depth is consistent with the original design at the bottom of the pond elevation. However, it is a little bit smaller than it was originally designed, and that could be due to a number of things. It could be due to some sediment that may have built up a little bit over time. It could be due to the fact that it wasn't graded exactly like it was originally. But it's generally speaking close to the way it was originally designed, and it really doesn't have an impact on what the concerns have been to date. So, but that's that. Then the outer perimeter of the pond, there's a whole bunch of colored lines on your paper there, and it gets a little bit messy, but I'll do my best to explain them. First of all, the pink, kind of the darker pink line on the legend there that says 430-2014 water level. That's when we did the survey. So the survey was done on April 30th, 2014. And that was, if I recall, a Tuesday or Wednesday possibly. And that was right after we had received, that was a Wednesday, and we had received over 3.7 inches of rain the preceding 3 days prior to that. So we sort of surveyed it at kind of a peak level, you might say. I mean, I know it gets higher than that if you have a more intense rainfall, but the pond elevation was up a bit like it normally does. So that line is, if you look at number 707 property there, the furthest line out towards the fence line there is the line with the little black X's on it. So that's the existing fence that's in place at Mr. and Mrs. Plug's property at 707. And that line that's closest to that fence there, that pink line, is the survey water edge as of 4/30/2014. Then the next line, I'll be working my way from the house towards the pond. The next line you see there is kind of a lighter blue line. That one is the 2011 water level. So what we did is we estimated, and I stress it's an estimate, but we X-REF the aerial photos back in. We have, the county flies the county for an aerial photo approximately every 3 years. So we have in our files the 2005, 2008, 2011 aerial photo. And so we approximated, based on the aerial photo, what the location of the water edge was at those 3 aerial photos. So you see the light blue line there was a 2011 aerial photo. The 2008 aerial photo was the darker blue line, which is very close to it. And then the orange line that's in a ways is the 2005 water level. So you can see that 2008 and 2011 and the 2014 surveyed water level are all fairly close. That's within, I'd say those lines vary no more than probably 2 feet in distance between the two, except for the 2005 one does show that it was pushed in a ways. And I believe when you look at the 2005 aerial photo, you know what year your house was built? It looked like it was being built in 2005.
It was built in 05.
Okay, it looked like it was under construction at that time. So I don't know if that could be explained by a number of different reasons. It could be possibly that the time of when the aerial photo was taken was during the summer months, when there had been some evaporation in the pond and the pond level was down. Or being construction was happening at that time, perhaps there was some grading work done upon home construction that changed that water level a little bit. But I guess to summarize, really, we didn't see much of a fluctuation in the water level based on the aerial photos and our survey from 2008 to 2014, so 6 years. I did go out there today before our meeting. Since we did survey it right after some rain events, I checked the water elevation or location today, and it was down from what that 430-2014 level was. It's now approximately 5 to 6 feet away from the fence, which takes it to pretty much where the light blue line is, just maybe a foot away from the light blue line, which is the 2011 level. So that's sort of the summary of the information we got there.
The red line is the design, where the water level was intended to be.
That's correct, yes, yes. That was based on the original design of approximating where the water level. Yep. So again, that's a little bit further in, but it's relatively, I mean, it's within, I believe that's about 5 feet of where it was originally intended, so.
The the plan design, correct me if I'm wrong, was meant to hold stormwater, not to be a consistent level year-round, correct?
No, it was designed to be a consistent level year-round. So the normal, what we call the NWL, so when you look at pond designs in this type of a pond, when it's a wet pond, they're designed to hold water year-round. And that water elevation is set based upon the outlet elevation, culvert elevation of the pond. So if you look back in the original drawings, I have a copy here, the NWL elevation, which is the normal water elevation, is a 971.1. So, yes, it is designed, and then it's designed to get higher than that during rain events. And then as the rain event stops and the water slowly subsides through the pipe, through the outlet, it gets back down to that elevation.
So explain to me, if you can, based on your maps and things here, the first summer that we were there was 2012.
Okay.
And I know you took pictures today, so maybe you can look at those. There is a willow tree that's kind of in the water right now.
Mm-hmm.
Out beyond that, about maybe 3 feet out, you will see some reeds there. That is where the water line was, spring of 2012. And it's a substantial difference from where it is now, and I don't understand why. Also, if you look at the inlet where it comes down from the north from Andy Kaufman's property, it almost looks like somebody took and dumped a huge load of black dirt right there. So there's obviously silt and sediment that's running into there. You can visibly see it. You would have seen it today taking pictures.
Okay, one second, let me get this. Moved into the house in 2012.
No, we moved in 2011.
Oh, okay.
But 2012 would have been the first spring/summer.
Okay, 2012 spring. And you're saying the water level was at the tree, at the willow tree?
It
Willow-
was,
Right
there
here,
were
Justin, you-
reeds out past the tree.
Where about is-
Justin, you see this planter that's in the backyard right
About
here?
right in here,
Down in
between these two.
Mhm.
Corner,
Mhm.
straight out from that green area,
Yep,
that's where the willow tree is.
okay.
Mhm.
And you can see that the aerial photo that, that you see right there is the 2011 aerial photo. So, why the water level was down there, it looks like, almost looks like there was a bit of a peninsula there or something.
Yeah.
You know, it's very close, it's, I don't know, just based on, I can only go based on the aerial, I don't know what happened in 2012, but I will say it does fluctuate throughout the time, like I said. Spring, summer, it depends on evaporation and everything else, it fluctuates. But if you go on either side of that willow tree, the water elevation hasn't changed. I don't know if there was some sort of a pile, perhaps when we built the house, there was a little dirt that they, you know, a little peninsula that was put out over there where the tree, that's why the tree started growing. I don't know, and maybe that is washed away some, because that was at the water elevation, or near the water elevation, so as the pond bounces up, that may have washed down a foot, and that's just enough to cover it up now. But generally speaking, along the shoreline, or along the line there, up and down, it's remained fairly constant. And then the other thing that I would like to show and point out is, so just a little explanation of what's shown and what's surveyed there. Oh, it's between the houses and the pond. The black line with the X's on it are fence locations. So you can see each three of those properties, 715, 7 and 9, have a fence. And then there is some other, there's a, on 707 there, they have a kind of a terraced fire pit, patio area, that's that black box there. And then the orange dashed line is the drainage and utility easement line. So that is everything to the west of that is within a public drainage and utility easement. That's according to the plat. And that was based on really everything. The intention is that the drainage and utility easement area is for public purpose, for drainage and utility purposes, and really anything that's put in there is sort of at the discretion of the property owner, and you know, would be the primary purpose of that is to function for the pond, stream pond. So if that does flood seasonally or during large rain events, that's just part of the function, and that's why it was put in an easement.
So everything west of that orange dash line?
Yep.
Okay, that's correct.
You're saying from the orange dot line all the way back to the property markers in the back is all,
Drainage and utility easements.
so we own all that, we pay taxes on all but a small portion of it because we have fought with the assessor to get that reduced. We can't access any of it, but yet we're responsible for all of it? Is that kind of what you're telling me?
Responsible for what?
We
No, I would
have
say
to-
you're
I
responsible
mean, we have to
for it.
maintain all this, if somebody gets hurt back there, we're sued under liability. I mean, all of that sits on our shoulders, correct?
I guess I don't know if somebody gets hurt back, they'd be on private property.
Yeah, but they can still sue you. So if all of that is easement essentially for the city, why doesn't the city own it and we don't? Then the city's responsible for it, since it's all easement.
It's that way, every lot has this. It's not, it's a different, I mean, it's bigger than a lot, but every lot has drainage and utility easements around their perimeter.
Yeah, not that
No, not that big, but there is a lot of other lots that do have that.
I mean, it's usually 10, 15, 20 feet, and it's usually like from the street in.
As far as the access goes, we did look at to see if there was an alternative way to access that. And we explored some options there. I walked around there with Sean, and I think we could do some, right off of 7th Street here. There's this area right through here. And currently, there's some trees that kind of growing up there, willows and kind of brush and things of that nature. There is an easement through here, and I think we could do some clearing and grubbing through here, and a little bit of grading to flatten out a spot through here, to perhaps get an access through here. And, you know, that would be a relatively, you know, that's about as close as you're gonna get. It's closer than coming back and going through here. You would have to, you know, if you were able to, well,
No, we go out
You
and
can
around, but.
come here or out and around.
Well, with something like that, though, we'd have to get, sign off by
probably by
301, or the plot.
two. No, not 301. They don't
Well,
own
301's right on that
it,
line,
But they don't own it.
along with 703, and then we'd have 705, 707. Now, we have talked with Lunds and 705, and they've even agreed if, due to the erosion factor on the backside of our properties, their hill, I don't know if you're familiar with, you've probably seen their hill.
Mhm.
Their hill is collapsing and because of the water. And
Which one, 705?
705, yeah. They hauled in 20 loads of fill to raise their
Yeah,
back
they got a-
property.
They got a pretty steep, they're raised up pretty good
Well,
there,
they
so.
used to be able to go out there and it gradually rolled over
Mhm.
and down, and they used to be able to get back there and mow. Well, now you're standing like this on top.
Yeah, looks like they've brought in a lot of fill, so they've really steepened up their bank there and
Well, no, it used to be just a general roll, now
Mhm.
it's
more like
collapsing.
yours, kind of.
Well, yeah, it's just like ours, the erosion factor on the back of our property's just been ridiculous. We started putting riprap out there just behind the fence, laid plastic, set riprap on top of it, and it's sunk down a good 8 to 10 inches just this spring alone because of the water. And it's creeping further and further, so now, I used to go out there and mow all that. Well, now I can't go, I can go out there and mow, but it's nothing like the area I had to mow and maintain. I cleaned out a lot of brush and stuff that was in there because it was just full of junk. And, but anyways, we've got an erosion factor going on because we're losing that backside of the property. But going back to your suggestion of an access through here, I think the council and city administrator would agree we'd have to get some sign-offs because 301, they've got their property set there. 703, his property actually goes back across the outlet side of the pond there.
303?
703
That's
goes all the
you
way to
could-
behind
you could-
303 there, right?
301.
You could take the street, you wouldn't have to go across 703 property.
Well, what I'm saying is he's
No,
got,
you're not understanding.
his property
301 doesn't
actually
run
comes back across the peninsula here.
No,
No,
it
it
goes,
doesn't.
So this
there's
is,
a black dash line. that
this
goes
is
down through.
705's property.
This is the property
Yes.
line right here between
And-
703 and 301.
This,
Are you talking about
this
703
easement, I
goes back to
understand,
here.
yes,
Check
well,
the
301.
And 301 comes out.
Right, so this easement is one thing, but we're also going across private property.
Where at?
301.
Yeah, at 301, we could probably do some grading within the easement there and potentially stay within the easement area.
I mean, we're not
Or we
here
could
to-
talk to 301 and they may not have an issue with it, they don't use it anyway, it's all on a
No.
steep bank and they have their fenced off. And
We're not
And
here,
it would be to their benefit too, then, to have that cleared out in the walkway through there.
Yes, it would.
as a,
But I wouldn't think of doing anything like that without their,
Oh, absolutely not, no. Even if we stayed within the easement area, we would still want to contact them and get their buy-in on it.
I just wanted to say that we're not here to just dump a bunch of money into this, but it comes back to when, and this council wasn't in place at that time, and it came back to when this development was laid out. You know, granted, this is called a water retention treatment pond, but this is good land back here. We like to keep it clean. I personally cleaned mine 702 and 705 year before last,
707.
705 and 707. Mr. Epple, he came over and even, we loaded up all the grass that we cut down, that I had cut down out of there. It was usable for Mr. Epple. And it's just a shame to see it go to waste. I mean, there's,
That's what they're telling you, is that they're
So-
gonna put it in.
well, that's what I'm saying, I
easy
just,
to get
I
back there to
don't
cut it.
wanna see the city, spend a lot of money on this, but I'd love to have access to the back of my property. I'd like to see the erosion factor on the backside of our properties, be secured somehow, because, I mean, that's our land, we're paying taxes on it, and we're getting eaten up by water, because we're not only getting the planned drainage from the development, we're drawing all this water from the north and off the field, and and when we get these heavy rains, it's an overabundance of water. And granted, I put my fence down where I'm connected to my neighbor's fence line at the same distance, because I wanted to get the most use I could out of my property. But we're just getting eaten up by this water, and I think we're accumulating way too much water. I don't think this was designed, I think it was designed to bring the water off of,
That's-
Rockbrook Estates, not all this water from the north.
That's the rest of his
So,
thing, he was to council.
but I just wanted the council to know that I don't wanna see a lot of money, but if we can get some type of an access, that would be fantastic.
How deep does the pond have to be? I thought I seen somewhere it only has to be 3 or 4 feet deep, and that is way more than 3 or 4 feet.
4 feet is the minimum depth.
3 to 4.
Yeah, we like to go
So, if we lower the culvert on 7th Street there, you see that water is tied up there, it can't even get to the drain.
Well, that's the way it's designed, yes.
Well, then it's designed to hold water, it's not filtering. If it's filtering, then it should be able to get an excess, keep the water moving.
You know, the pond design is
Supposed to
designed,
hold water.
supposed to hold 4 to 10 feet of water. And that's all
Yeah, but
based,
The excess is supposed to be able to run off. That's why that, what is it, blocks down there, Yeah,
Where?
but the water don't even get to there. Now the water's 9 feet deep and the water don't even get to where the,
But he just said it was
Seven.
meant to hold 4 to 10 feet, so if the pond is 9 feet, it still isn't at the 10-foot level.
the
So it's not
depth,
to the
the
weir?
depth,
I don't think that it has to be that deep.
Well, that's following the design of Minnesota Pollution Control Agency.
I
So
can-
I don't know, I seen somewhere it was only supposed to be,
Minimum,
three or-
a
no,
minimum,
No minimum at all. Just 3 to
minimum
4
of
feet.
3 to 4 feet.
And that's what we should do here. This thing should be only 3 or 4 feet.
but there's other design criteria involved rather than just a minimum of 3 to 4 feet. That's the absolute minimum. There's also a storage volume, and that's right in the MPCA design criteria that I provided last year. And that has to hold a certain volume of water as what they call dead storage. That's permanent pool volume. So there's a requirement when you design a pond for how much water the pond has to hold permanently, and also how much water, or how much space above that, which is called live storage, which is the area that the pond bounces up during a rain event. So there's 2 design criteria that you design for. And it's based on the volume of water that stays in the pond is based on the amount of drainage area that goes to the pond. So if you reduced the pond depth there from what it is currently at from 966 to a 971.74, so it's approximately 6 feet deep right now in the center of the pond. If you reduce that down to 3 feet or 4 feet, you would be reducing that volume of dead storage, and it would no longer meet the MPCA criteria for pond.
Has the laws changed on that? I
Um,
thought now that
not recently.
probably don't even have to have those anymore.
If it's an infiltration pond, then you don't have to have permanent pool volume. So if the water, if you're in sandy soils where the water will infiltrate into the ground, then you don't need that.
Because the water can't go anywhere with that blue clay underneath there.
No, that's-
It's just like sitting in cement.
That's correct, and that's the way they're,
And
that's right.
the only thing that I'm saying is that what we should do then, if that's gotta be that deep, then we should have the overflow to be able to get away right away. But that water don't even get up to the overflow.
By the overflow, you mean the pipe going under the road?
Yeah. Well, even where you got where we had the three or four boards that was
Mhm.
across the major to hold everything back. Well, the water being 9 feet deep, don't even get to the boards to major. So that thing was built incorrectly, so I think that we need to have it so it'll drain. I think the water should be coming all the way up against the culvert, and then where you got them boards, anything goes over, goes right out the culvert. But
It
now,
is, it's going up the
now the
culvert.
pond is flooding the houses, and it's not even getting to where the depth is supposed to be. I think that thing was built wrong.
It wasn't built right.
It's the elevation that we measured was a 972, and that's what it's supposed to be at.
Because you go out to Pheasant Hills, and that's built
Well, those
right
are
up.
all built on different, you can't really, I mean, sorry, go ahead,
But
finish.
that does the same purpose, right? That was built there for the same purpose as this, right?
Right,
And the water is right up to the culvert, and the measurements are right in front of the culvert, and anything goes over the culvert goes right on out. Matter of fact, Sean and the guys just cleaned the ditch and redid the ditch work where the water can get out of it. But
so the water in the
in-
pond, there's, in Pheasant Hills, the pond always has water in it, right?
Yes.
You know, and then,
And this should too, but the only thing is, the old stagnant water off the top should be able to skim off.
and it is right now, today it's skimming off through the culvert there today.
Yeah, today, because we had 3 inches of rain, or 6 inches of rain in the last week here or so.
But Pheasant Hills doesn't run all the time. When it stops raining for a period of several weeks,
I
there's
don't
not,
know, it's running all the time when I'm out there.
well, then there must always be water going through it.
Even the swamp by me, it's got the weir there that runs along the trail, and when it doesn't rain for like a week, it doesn't come over the boards anymore and run under the road.
It's just like the
But when it
pumpkin.
gets over the
Get
boards,
those
where does it go?
It goes under the culvert, under the road.
Yeah, see, that's what we need to do here. We need
But
to
what
fix
is-
this so that
No,
the
it does
excess
that.
will drain out.
But what he's saying is that the weir is set at the height because it's supposed to have that much water in it. It's not supposed to drain anymore. Where the weir is set and where the culvert's
Well,
set,
then
it's
we
to
need
hold back
we
the
need to
water.
clean this here all the way out to the culvert then.
It is cleaned out.
It's clean.
Yeah, but here now in your picture, the water don't even get to the culvert.
Well, that was
It's not
before
high
they
enough.
cleaned it. That was in 2011. Sean cleaned it last year.
Yeah, last summer they cleaned it out.
I need to comment, Justin made a comment that it's draining today. It's, the water level right now is below the post where the weir boards were. And it's not, it's up against the face on the drainage culvert on it. If you people have been out there and seen it, it's got the old, newer style, but it's old style culvert pipe with metal bars on it to keep kids from climbing in there. It's got a concrete face on the front of it that you can see this much of. So if there's water draining out, it's not reaching the culvert. If there's water draining out, the water's going somehow is eroded through and going underneath that pipe.
So it's not run through the culvert
That's what I've seen.
today.
Yeah,
It's not running through the pipe.
it's not running through the pipe.
I think we should go look at
It's not, I'd be happy to.
That's deceiving. I think I know what you're talking about, because the grate that's on that doesn't go to the bottom of the culvert.
Correct, I mean,
It
there's a-
sticks up 2-3 inches above the culvert. And the water's running under the grate right now, but the actual bottom of the culvert, the pipe going under the road, is, the water's running through the pipe.
So that cement barrier that Pat was talking about, is it there like a bumper or something, so?
It's
that-
called a trash guard,
Okay,
so it doesn't plug up the pipe.
so there's still an opening underneath that?
Yeah, about, I don't know, 3 inches or so below that.
Yeah.
That's where the water's running right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So what's the easiest way to do it? throw some dye in there and just watch it go.
Well, we can walk out there and I can show you, but you can, and then we go to the other end of the culvert too, and you can see it running.
No, I've seen water coming out the other end of the culvert. I wasn't aware that underneath that trash face that you're talking about, there's another opening. Because when they pulled the one out last year, that was the inlet side and replaced it with just a straight pipe with a unguarded
Yeah.
end on it.
Mhm.
I didn't see that style for the
yeah.
inlet side, so.
Yeah, that's probably deceiving you.
What else did you happen to find? Did you find what was draining in here and the drain
Yeah.
tiles and that thing?
We found the drain tile, we did locate you can see on the northwest corner there, there's a 6-inch CPP line. It's a 6-inch tile line that we did locate. We also looked for a 12-inch, in addition to that, I did speak with Mr. Epple, and he gave me a little bit of background information. There is also a 12-inch tile in there, however, like I said, the water's fairly high, we weren't able to locate it.
Yeah,
I don't-
that's right on the end of that blackness on your map is where that hole is.
So I think there's another 12-inch tile in there, and those drain the field to the west, and always have, did before the development was there, and really there's a right for them to be there. I mean, the drainage law would prohibit us from blocking them off and not allowing drainage to go through there. That's the way the drainage has went for years and years, so.
So those were there in place even when he was farming?
I believe so.
Or they're,
No, when
Yeah.
Lloyd was farming.
when you're 100 years old now.
The reason that came up, Mr. Epple, I need to emphasize is the previous resident that just recently sold at 709 raised concern because he saw you out there one day evidently clearing it out. He said, "Get off my property, you can't be digging on that."
Oh, that was, but now getting back under the tube, the water runs twice as fast as it ever did in my lifetime. I moved there in '61, but the quickness, now today there isn't much left in the creek. It's down about half what it was 3 days ago.
And that's that creek that runs through your property,
Yeah.
right? You were out there
Yeah.
replacing
It
some?
took the whole bridge out there this spring, last fall. And now I gotta make another bridge, but it made the whole ditch about this deep and about so wide. It used to be like this and
Mhm.
only a little. But
So
now
you-
she really comes out of there now.
So you know the erosion factor.
But when it used to be the old 12, that's all that ran there years ago. But now took everything out. It really empties out with this rain. But that doesn't, I mean, what's left now, I mean, there isn't much running in the creek today no more. It's all done. It's just slow trickle. So what you see for water now is what it's holding with the road tube, or where it'll always stay, I suppose, if a little rain comes.
Can you show me on your larger drawing where the weir is in relation to the culvert? Is it, it's not right up against it?
The weir used to be, it's not there anymore, but it used to be, I don't know exactly. The culvert is right
closer.
here, and
It's about halfway down through, between the peninsula and.
Culvert is underneath the street, you're not to the street there, that's about where the rear was right there.
well, this is where the end of the culvert is, right here.
And the
That's where the
weir's-
grate is.
weir's
Yeah,
what
that's where the
happened up
grate is, right, and then the weir is, yeah, somewhere right in here, you'd say, Pat?
Where that dark
Dark spot is, yeah.
Yeah,
Is the water up against the weir today?
the weir boards are gone, they were taken out by summer night.
Okay.
Nobody in this room.
So they noted that when they were out there looking at the pond, that the weir boards were gone? Or we know, but we're aware of that?
I know that they're gone, yeah.
Okay.
The posts are there. Last year when they changed the inlet at that, behind 703. They changed the inlet, brought it out to the end of the peninsula, redid a lot of that in there. They did trench out on the outlet side, leaving weir posts in place.
So we're able to maintain the proper level with no weir boards in there
Yeah, really what the weir boards are designed to do is
to retain.
It's for a 1 year, they're called a 1 year storm event, so during the smaller storm events is to retain some more of that water in there. We don't use weirs much in designs anymore. They are a maintenance. They require a lot of maintenance to function as they're supposed to.
More rock.
Cleaning out the rock, I mean, they get the sediment, they're designed, and I got the detail of how the developer's engineer had it designed originally. And it's rock, and it's supposed to flow underneath and through, well, you get vegetation growing in there,
Oh, sure.
and Public Works would have to be out there multiple times probably to keep that clean and functioning, so. I think, yeah, I mean, we are able to maintain, really what, the weir actually did set the normal water, the permanent water elevation. That's set by the culvert, by not the weir. The weir is just designed to hold more of that water back during the smaller rain events.
Justin, that line that comes north of the trailer park and runs into this pond, how much water is in that pond there where the trailer park sets back in here, where the guys doing all that junking with the refrigerators and freezers and all that stuff and letting the freon run in to the ground back there to get this rainwater washing all this off that goes in this creek and runs down to this pond.
Yeah, that drainage area is very large. It goes all the way up to Highway 12, like you mentioned. Yeah, it's a very large drainage area.
That's why.
I got it. I didn't bring it in, but I have
This
it.
pond going to
I
be
have it in my truck, the original stormwater management.
for chemicals and stuff in it.
If there's something like that, we should.
Well, he's running a
investigate that.
junkyard down there in the north end of the trailer, south end of the trailer park down there, and he just cuts the lines on the refrigerators and freezers and lets the stuff run out and run on the ground and it right back in here where that creek area is.
Yeah.
I was down there and looked at it.
I just want to say that, yes, we bought the property at 707, and we are aware of this pond at that time. However, I go back once again when the development was done. Granted, the state imposed at that time that these ponds be put in, and then the responsibility falls back once the developer's gone on the city to maintain it. And as a taxpayer in town here, it's an expense that's gonna be continual from here until the end of time. And as I tried to say, we're experiencing erosion on the properties now. We're experiencing algae that is killing wildlife and can pose a threat to children if they happen to venture into the pond. Livestock, say Mr. Apple's cows decided to take a trip from the woods down to the lake to get a drink of water. This blue-green algae is a very deadly bacteria, and I don't know what we can do about these ponds, but somehow or another we need to keep this water moving so we're filtering, because we're sitting on blue clay. It's gonna be a contaminated piece of property eventually if it isn't already. It's gonna be a setback for our community with these ponds all over town eventually that aren't draining, and they're just becoming a waste pit. And I don't know what we can do about it. I hate to spend money, but I think we need to act now and figure out what we can do with these ponds to try to protect the properties that they're affecting, and the city for liability somewhere down the road. As Roy was saying, now we've got a guy up here that's letting everything drain down from the north. It's not a good thing. I've talked to Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, they say they won't even come out and test it because they're not in agreement with the city of Montrose to come in and test these ponds. I just think that we're looking at a big nightmare. It's already there, it's been there for 8, 9 years now, and it's gonna be a nightmare down the road. It's already beginning to be a nightmare. We've had to go to the expense of changing this inlet side already, so. Yes, dear, I get this treatment at home.
So then my question would be, what can we do to fix this?
What issue, Lloyd?
Well,
I'm
keeping
hearing
from-
2 issues. I'm hearing the stagnation of the pond.
That's
But
one.
then on the other hand, I'm hearing that the water's moving so fast through there that there's erosion. So that is conflicting me. And then the other thing is, the thing that I think we can do something about is to try to talk about access to these, 3 lots? The backside.
I think your idea is great, you can make it work.
Mark, could I go back, you said because the water's moving too quickly through. It's not that the water's moving too quickly, it's that when we get these big rains, the pond broadens from east to west, north to south, eventually working its way out, hopefully to the drain. But while it's in there, there's such a massive amount of water in there, and you get the winds with the storm and everything, well, the water's like going out on Lake Mille Lacs. I mean, we don't have whitecaps, but we've got a lot of water moving around on there, and it's washing up on what we call our shore, you know.
Yep.
So,
So I have just a ditch going through the back of my yard. That, my house was built in 2006, so that was landscape back there. I put the sod in there. And now, several years later, because enough water has run through there and it's sagged in a few areas, I haven't been able to mow back there yet this year because it's holding water in a few spots. I'll sink my lawnmower out of sight. So, and it's something different because it's never been like that before. But I realized that even if you drive around town, around people's houses, you know, their backfill always sells along the foundations. And I realized that we're gonna have earth movement like that, and there's nothing that I can do about it.
and that's my position too. I mean, there's nothing short of loading up my pickup truck, backing through the yard and filling in what we've lost.
Yeah, I mean, by you stating that the pond expands during a rain event, I mean, that's, I hate to be blunt about it, but that's why the drainage and utility easement is there, and that's why it was put there, is so that the water would have some place to go and to be stored temporarily during a rain event, so that property owners downstream don't get flooded out and don't get washed out. I mean, if there was no pond here and everything was piped straight through, there'd even be a lot more issues downstream. And
I don't think so. Yeah, that's open there, there's a creek there that runs all the way, and it can take a lot of water. I can remember one year we had 10 inches of rain and the water never sat back there because that creek took it all. And then it runs right down there, and it doesn't bother the city at all.
no, but it bothers downstream property owners and
Where? The creek has been
Whoever-
running through there for 100 years and nobody's ever complained about it.
But we have to follow the law, and MPCA said if you put in a development, you have to put in a pond. So we have to
meet-
follow the law,
But it-
and we have to
3
meet
to
the
4 feet
requirements.
deep, not 9 feet deep.
That's the minimum of 3 to 4 feet.
Minimum of 3 to 4 feet.
You know, I read something, but I didn't see the word minimum in there. One thing that said maintain 3 to 4 feet. but
It was
never said
it was
minimum.
in the minutes, I typed it, it said a minimum.
So let's get it down to the minimum.
It was designed to,
There's a minimum depth and there's also a minimum volume though. And the volume, if we went with a shallower depth, we'd have to expand the width of surface area.
Because it seems to me that this covers an awful lot of area compared to Pheasant Hills, and Pheasant Hills got far more houses than.
Well, there's a big
Rockbrook
drainage
does.
area here, I can show you the drainage area, it goes like Roy was saying, it goes all the way up. It goes all the way up to Highway 12. and
all the
it's
way up
huge,
to Cardinals,
huge
you
area.
know how big it is back there.
So that's what it's designed, that's why it's so big.
Pheasant Hills Pond only drains the east side of the Pheasant Hills area. The west side goes into the other, to the west,
Yeah, it's
doesn't it, to
split
that
somewhere down the
water.
middle there.
But there's
Yeah.
still more houses on
Yeah, there's certainly more houses
East
there.
house,
Yeah.
there's twice, maybe twice or three times as many houses.
Yeah, that's why that was
But
so
that
big.
pond there has got an excess with the tile, goes across underneath the road and goes through my brother's pasture down there.
Mhm.
Here's a, if I may, here's a concern my wife mentioned. On the north end where the creek comes down, this little creek comes down into the north end, as they're saying, I'm sure you saw it today, looking out there, that it looks like somebody dumped a pile of black dirt out there. That's all sediment that's been coming down from the field, from the north, which is causing, and there's nobody here from those residents 709 on up, but if anybody saw it, I think Lloyd was out there, I think the mayor was also out there too, when we had these last couple of heavy rains and seen to the north, these lots that are, some of them are taking care of their lots and they mow it, you know, because they want to use as much of their yard as they can, but the backup of water sat up there because it wasn't coming down into the creek at the rate it probably should be. There's a lot of sediment up here on this north end and it's now piling up again.
So somebody dumped that there? you
No,
said?
no, this is
Oh.
all
It just
sediment
looks
that's
like a
coming
sandbox.
down. Yeah,
There,
okay,
right at,
yeah.
right at the.
I'll certainly take a look at that.
It looks like somebody backed in there with a dump truck full of black dirt.
Looks like it, but they didn't.
No,
Okay.
there's nobody,
It's just-
there's no way
It's a
anybody could have
little
done back
delta
there.
Yeah.
But if
I
that,
think
just
Mr.
so
Apple
you,
probably lost an acre of dirt coming down there.
so if that gets removed, it's gonna come into the pond even faster than.
Well, yeah, but
Right.
it would help the properties to the north.
Yeah.
Instead of flooding up to the yellow line that you've got here, the yellow checkered line. I mean,
Mhm.
that's how far the water backs up when
Sure.
we get these rains.
Sure.
So I mean, hopefully, you know, possibly it'd help push the water down and out like it's
Yeah.
supposed to at a quicker rate. Maybe that would
Yep.
help with these, a lot of this algae that we get in the summer.
I'll take a look at that with Sean, if there's some sediment he's picking up in the north end
I don't know how he'd access it.
Yeah, I don't know.
He'd probably have to come down through Mr. Eppel's property here along that pipeline to get down in there
there. Mm-hmm.
to clean it out.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be an easy
Probably
access,
fall.
but, so,
What happens, Justin, in an event where you do have to use this easement line? What happens to the fences and stuff that are there?
Well, that's, I mean, that would be the ideal spot to go and use for access for Cleveland Pond. That's the other reason it's there.
If people build stuff in the easement, the city or other utilities have the right to go in and remove it.
Yeah, when we put the fence up, the agreement that you have to give to the city and have the neighbors sign up says that.
that area you're talking about, Mark, I don't know if you've seen it, the privacy fence is like this, and then it drops pretty
Yeah,
quick down
yeah.
like this to the
Yeah.
outlet.
We try to let everybody know that, we don't want any, not permanent structures, you know, so.
Well, the city probably should have never let the developer build those 3 or 4 houses here if they're gonna build that pond there.
How much is your slump up
It doesn't say.
Doesn't stop.
Mine isn't either.
Mine can go the other way.
middle of January, my sub pump, if I had it plugged in, would still run.
Quite surprised, Pat, when I got my covenant for Woodside, the name of my Northridge development out there, that they said that I was responsible to go out after my sod was planted, to take down those little dirt holding fences, to pull the grate off the storm drain and take the burlap sack out of there, and take the plastic retainers out of there that were supposed to hold that I was responsible to do all that and to keep that stuff clean. But as I walk around the newer developments, I think that kind of got lost in the translation. Because some people get some nasty backups because they're not keeping their drains clean. But I was quite surprised that that was my responsibility, not the city crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I
surprised
didn't have
too.
covenants when I bought my house.
You're kind of emphasizing about this backup of silt that we've got up
Well,
there.
yeah, that this property owner say it was, is it like 7-Eleven?
Well, it's right at the
I
north
would be
end,
out
so it's
there.
right on the border of
I'm like
709,
you, I like to
707.
fuss with stuff like that, so I'd be out there fixing it.
Well, Andy Kaufman, he comes down from 3 lots up and walks that whole trench line there and digs out what he can, you know, but,
We have lots of toys from trailer parks down there that he had to go and pick up.
yeah, he ended up with a wagon from the trailer park. About $100 kid's
Wow.
wagon floated downstream there.
And then, you know, it's all nothing new, and it's the stuff that's been going on since I was a kid, so.
And we actually like this, I mean, we love having the wildlife, you know, we
Sure.
put corn out for the ducks and, you know, all that kind of stuff, but it just,
Isn't the algae, like, that's a big deal.
algae is a real problem.
Is that-
Well, that's not just in Montrose, that's
No, it's
all over the
everywhere.
state.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
And it's part of a statewide issue, and MPCA and people out of this room are gonna have to address that, and, I mean, we here as a city follow the rules placed in front of us, and we don't really have authority to go and try and change them.
Well, we put that fountain over in Veterans Park because that got so funky and it helps a little bit, but it still doesn't solve the problem.
The other thing that we're dealing with statewide is now these ponds get sediment in them, and eventually how to clean out someday. What do you do with the sediment?
I can get rid of that for you for free.
You know, but I mean, there's pollutants in it, and that's a whole nother area that MPCA is now dealing with, and trying to figure out where it can be placed and safely and everything else, so. Yeah, you keep it out of the lakes, but you have to deal with it somewhere else.
Well, Pat's got a good point, that it probably won't cure the problem, but if that delta upstream there could increase the flow coming in the pond, that might help some.
You know,
My thought
it would
was
keep
that-
flow going through the wetland.
Is there
Well,
an
the
issue?
mobile home park's problem too, then, if there's a junkyard in
Right,
a mobile
that,
home park.
we should investigate that, and that, probably send in a letter.
I called the Department of Health today about the mobile home park
Okay,
and asked for an inspection.
so maybe we could, give them a heads up on
I was up there the other day trying to find a pickup truck, I think. You read my report.
First, we gotta get our building inspector to go down in the park with us, and he don't wanna do it.
That's not his jurisdiction, right? That's the Department of Health.
Department of Health and a few other ones.
Is there an issue with us putting additional rock there?
to protect
You know,
that.
where it's at now, I mean, if we want, you know, fence post to fence
it.
post.
I would not have any problems with
Would the council have any problems with that, if I continue to put riprap in there, try to
Well,
protect
would be
that?
ripped out, would be natural stuff.
Well,
Can you
With-
vegetation there, just stop
that.
it?
There's all sorts of erosion, things that you can put down to prevent erosion. I mean, there's erosion blankets, there's mats, there's all sorts of different things like that. But, you know, you're pretty close to the water edge there where it's gonna be difficult to get erosion or, you know, things to grow that close to.
Besides cattails.
And that is kind of what's designed, those ponds are sort of designed, they kind of are supposed to be somewhat flat there and have cattails and weeds growing there. That's what's supposed to help take up some of the nutrients. It's called a 10-foot, it's called a 10-to-1 bench. So that outer 10 foot of the pond right at the water level, the normal water level, is supposed to have about a foot of water on it. It varies from 0 to 1 foot and 10 feet in width. And that's kind of the bench where your vegetation, cattails, things like that grow. And they naturally descend or break up the oils and things of that nature in the water, the stormwater.
When we bought that property, where you can see that planter that was the previous owners there by in the backyard, we had cattails that were almost up to the breaking ridge in the backyard that leads down to the pond. That's how far up the cattails.
Yeah.
So
And they do, you know, they prevent erosion too, they really do. That vegetation does. I know that's not pretty to look at, but it functions.
Well, I think that's one of the problems that happened back here with the inlet side, and the reason it was changed out, it was just packed in there with cattails.
Yeah, no, that's not a spot where they should be growing, so that definitely needs to be cleaned out of there, or they have that.
So I guess what I'm hearing for final outcome is you guys are gonna try to do something with, property 301 to create some type of an access so that we can get a lawnmower back and maintain the backside property, is that correct?
Well, I was gonna go there and talk about that, but I guess first we all have to agree that that pond is supposed to be there, and that the pond culvert is at the right height. And really, there's nothing we can do about that unless, Lloyd, you've got a different idea about that, because the only thing I can think of that we could deal with is getting some kind of access to those back 3 properties back there. But, there's no sense in talking about that if you want to continue on talking about whether or not that pond is even supposed to be there, or whether it's, we want to do something different about that. So, I'm waiting to hear what you've got to say about that, or, if you've got a different take on that.
What was the elevation of the bottom of the culvert compared to the?
971.74, and it's supposed to be at a 971.7.
It looks to me like if we clean this out so the water could at least get to the rear boards, that would help a lot of this problem.
Wasn't that cleaned out last year?
Yeah,
the
but
weird- the
still,
weird boards are
it
gone.
takes like 6-7 inches of water to get to run out. There hadn't been any water running in that underneath 7th Street there for a long time, except this last spring now when we had these big rains.
Because the pond hasn't been high enough,
Well, it's 9 feet high over here.
it's supposed to be.
Elevation of the pond, the water elevation in the middle of here is the same water elevation as
The
the
culvert.
culvert. Well, now,
Then
when
how
it's
come
running,
the water
it's probably a
sits there?
little
If the
bit.
culvert was the same, how come water isn't up to the culvert?
It is
Not very much. In a couple of days, it probably won't even reach the culvert.
And that's when the water elevation, when it stops
And this
flowing
won't go
through.
down very much,
No, when you,
because then this becomes stagnant, and this is where you get your algae problem.
right. When it stops running through the culvert is when the whole elevation of the entire pond is at 971.74 elevation.
So in essence, what you're saying is the pond is doing what it was designed to do
Mm-hmm.
by MPCA standards.
Yes.
What would you say the volume of the pond is? Well, right now wouldn't be a good time to do it because we just had 3 inches of rain. But, say by the end of the week.
What the volume of the pond is, the
Mhm.
volume of the water in the pond?
Yeah. As, how close is it? Or is it more or less than what the volume is supposed to be?
It's less than what it's supposed to be.
Right
'Cause
now?
Yes. Because you can see the pink lines right here, that was supposed to be all at an elevation 966. And you can see that's actually an elevation 968, so there's about 2 extra feet on the outside perimeter here.
Yeah.
There's about 2 extra feet of fill in there, so it's probably already doesn't meet MPCA criteria as of today.
What, the elevation that's in there right now?
The volume of water that's in there.
If you go on the south side of that culvert and the water's running through that culvert, you can look underneath that culvert and see if the water's seeping underneath the bottom of that culvert. And you can tell if you've got erosion there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This pink line that runs around the outside on the west here, up through this area,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
is that the, is that
That's the
the,
430, the survey water elevation.
can you tell me how your guys came to that measurement?
They went through and took the prism and held it where the edge of the water was. And
Can you?
GPS to spot it. They were out in a boat,
Mhm.
so they took a boat out here and that's all these elevations down here. They took a prism rod and actually stuck it down in the water to the bottom of the pond. They did that up and down.
White stick with measurements on it?
Yeah, or it had a GPS indicator on top that gives you a
Well,
horizontal.
the reason I asked this, Justin, is because I watched them that day on the pond, and they had the pole with the GPS locator on it, which was being moved around in the boat, and then they had the measure stick, and they had a 12-foot boat with a measure stick that was extended at least 10 feet. Because when they were on the backside of my property that day, they were out probably 30 feet from where we were talking about, that green area with the willow tree on it. They were out probably about 30 feet. When he stuck that pole in the water, he almost fell into the lake because he didn't think it was gonna go down that deep. That was the full length of the pole. And when they put that pole back into the boat, it stuck out the back of the boat a good 4 feet. So he had it extended at least 10 feet.
Okay.
So I don't know how we come up with these measurements when one guy's sticking a pole over the boat, the other guy's sitting there trying to get a measurement with the GPS. That water that day was up past my fence line,
Well, they were out there 2 days.
not in a boat.
No. And I don't know which day they surveyed the water edge. I know they were out there in the boat the first day and did that, and then they went out back the next day and they did the perimeter stuff, the stuff they didn't have to be in the boat for. So I'm not sure which day
I'm just wondering how they came up with their measurements, because the day in the boat, I mean, they're getting blown all over. They started out, they launched here, went up the west side, and all the measurements that they were taking with the GPS unit in the boat was very close to the shoreline. But when they got up to the north, they stayed away from the entrance up here, and when they came down around the east side here, they were 15, 20 feet out into the water at all times. So that's how I'm trying to figure out how they got these measurements, because when I looked at this line, the water was up past my fence line at that time, and here it shows that it's within the fence line.
I guess I wasn't out there doing the work. So
No, I
can't tell you the
understand
exact
that.
process, but-
I'm just trying to figure out how they came up with these measurements, because It just, the more I looked at it, I'm going, wait a minute, that's inside, that's on the west side of my fence line when it should have been on the east.
But I think that's why, because that, on April 30th, there wasn't much rain, and then the day before, on 29th, there was, I think, like an inch and a half of rain or something like that.
We had almost 2 inches of rain.
Yeah, so that's probably where, when they were out in the bowl, it probably was up above your fence.
But according to this, it's shown that it's, between the 27th and the 30th, it's shown that it's still within, to the west of the fence line, so.
No, the water,
It's here nor there now, I mean, it's just that, I'm with Lloyd here in the understanding that, yes, the pond needs to be there, but I think we're still retaining way too much water in this pond. And if the state now has regulated that this type of pond go on a separate piece of property when the developer builds, I don't know if anybody's done any research, if we've got any action that we can do to try to lessen the volume that this thing is holding back at this time. I don't know if there's anybody's looked into any state mandates that possibly may have changed or anything. Because, and I think the council understands where I'm coming from. This is a nightmare now. Down the road, it's gonna get probably 10 times worse. And right now, as the property owner at 707, I'm concerned about the erosion on the back. If I have to, I'll try to fix it the best I can to prevent losing more and more of my property because of this. But if this thing is this big now, and according to Wright County Water and Soil Conservation, it was this big before, we've got a problem going on, and if it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, it's because something's wrong at this end at 7th Street. I think we're holding way too much water. I don't think it was designed to have all these inlets coming, so.
So then you should let them feel like
Yeah, I agree.
any suggestions, testing, for the job?
well, I think the best bet would be to, A, address the sediment on the north end of the pond, and if there's some sediment buildup there, I think we need to get that out of there. And B, I guess as far as the erosion parent, I guess I'm gonna call it apparent erosion, not because I don't believe you, but because of what I've looked at in aerials, I just don't see a huge significance in water elevation change, but you know, there's two ways of doing that. Is A, you can address it on your own and do what you feel you need to do to prevent that by putting rocks in there or whatever. You know, if the city were to address that, they would need to have full access all the way through there. So all the fences and all the walls and all the landscaping would need to come out of there. I mean, because they need to get in there with equipment to do that. So, so as far as the erosion issue goes, I would suggest that you just leave it up to the property owners, I guess, if they feel there's a large issue there and they wanna address it by putting some rock in there, they certainly can do that. Otherwise, we're gonna have to send them a letter and tell them that they're gonna have to remove the landscaping features. And then thirdly, I think we really should investigate the access, because I think, from what I'm hearing from you and probably some other people there, is, I think that would help get rid of part of the issue, is if we were able to get some sort of access through here on this side, then the land would be usable, and, you know, we'd be able to get through with my goal would be to grade out maybe a 6 foot or 8 foot wide, somewhat flat area that you could drive a riding mower on, you know, a 4-wheeler or something like that, that people could get back there and access the property. And I think we could do it relatively instantly. I mean, there'd be some cost involved, but hopefully we could do it concurrently with another project where we could get some fill or something like that, so. So, I know Sean rents some equipment in the fall to do storm pond cleaning and things of that nature, so we do it, so. Those, I mean, honestly, I wish I had a better answer as far as the pond goes, but unfortunately that, it is what it is, and it's requirements that are in place that I can't change.
Yeah, but Justin, now with this pond, how much water actually is these ponds really supposed to hold? Volume wise?
1,800 cubic feet per acre draining into the pond, I believe is the current design criteria.
There's gotta be more than that in that pond, and if that pond's about 10 feet deep, or 9 feet deep. There has to be.
If I can also throw in your lap, Justin, when this pond was designed to be put in place by the developer, was it designed just for this community, the streets, the yards? Or was it also for everything west and north of it? I just can't understand why they would, you know, it's supposed to take the drainage from the storm drains off the streets. It's supposed to take the drainage from the properties on this west side of Brook Circle West. It just seems to me that that's what it was designed for, this community, not everything to the north of it.
FPCA says that you need to design it for 1,800 cubic feet per acre that drains into the pond, so that's the way it's designed. Everything that drains into it.
And how many acres do you feel drains into it?
You know, I could get it for you, I didn't bring it in, I got it in my truck, I got the original plan in there.
Because
It's
all of Rockbrook, you know, don't run that way.
It's in excess of, I'd say it's in excess of 80 acres.
Well, has something happened
Because it goes all the way up to 12 and it goes to the west quite a ways.
since 2005 or 2006, Lloyd, that you think that has caused more water to come from the north?
Well, Highway 12 was redone and that created some problems.
With that ditch behind, like, over here?
Yeah, all over.
That was
Cardinals there.
1997, though, that was before this, was built. So that would have been taken into account already.
Yeah, but I mean, that water had been coming through there and they didn't have a problem then.
Well, we didn't have those houses in here either, right? In 97?
It was all black dirt or fields, so a lot of it would sink into the ground, whereas now it's streets, it can't sink in, it runs off.
But you see all of Rockbrook, see, you got a problem, don't we have a pump in the house in the northeast corner of Rockbrook there pumping water now?
Yeah, that's a different issue, but there is.
Well, that water should be draining down there too, but it wasn't. That
Right.
goes the other way.
Yeah, that should go to the southeast. Yeah.
East.
Yeah. Yep.
So I mean, you know, see.
But that's
the
not
amount
a
of
pond
houses
back there, that's a
west
wetland, so.
Going into there.
What's that?
Yeah, that makes less houses yet where the water is actually running into there.
And the north end, they're pumping the water into the street, and isn't that coming down, feeding to this?
Yeah, it is now.
No, it goes into the south pond, there's a pond by the substation down there, it goes down there.
When they were pumping, this one up here you're talking about,
Yeah.
pumping into the street, it was coming down around the corner
Oh,
here.
okay,
on
so they're
Brook
pumping it
West.
to the west?
Yeah. They
Oh,
Yeah,
that
it-
wasn't me.
It came down up here and came in down around,
Yep,
Brian Bauman's
Yep,
house in
then
his
it did
storm
go in
drain,
there.
so it
Okay.
emptied into here.
yep.
Is that aggravating the situation you've got going on now?
It just added additional water to the pond. You could see, the street was dry, but we had water flowing in because it was coming down through the storm drain. So it was putting that water that they were pumping in the backyard down to the pond here.
The 671 or 971.74, is that the face? That's not that,
That's the
Yeah.
bottom, the grate that he was talking about there's a grate that comes up like this with bars on it,
yeah.
like that, and then below that
Or the
is
cement.
actually the concrete, so that 71, 74 is the bottom of the actual concrete.
Okay, so.
Or top of the concrete, I mean.
Top of
That's
the
the top,
concrete.
that, right, yep, that's
So
what
if
we
we
call
can
the
see,
invert of the pipe.
if we can see 6 inches of it, we're below that 971, 74.
If the water elevation is 6 inches lower than the top of the concrete, then the water elevation is lower than 6 inches. Yep.
So if we were over the top of that concrete and that water was being pumped into this pond, that could have something, possibility that is adding to the problem.
Well,
Because
it's adding some water to it,
But
but that's
because-
only been pumped a couple times, and it just, the first time it was ever pumped was this spring.
So it's not up into the culvert, so it's still below the desired elevation. The water.
Yeah, the water, as long as the water's flowing through the culvert here, then the water elevation, it means there's constantly water flowing through here from the wetland and from this whole area. I mean, after it rains, that water's gonna flow for quite some time. So that flowage of water is, you're gonna always have, your water elevation in here, as long as there's water flowing through here, is gonna be a little bit higher than 71, 74. When the water stops flowing, and basically the pond has a day to drain down to this without any water coming in, that's when it's gonna be static. It's gonna be at 971, 74. And then from there, if you get hot days without any rain, it's gonna start evaporating,
Sure.
the water's gonna start going down more, but not a lot.
But you ain't gonna have that water to stop flowing behind the trailer park there. You've got 2 or 3 acres that's always full of water back there, and that creek from the north is always gonna be running.
Yeah, it's such a big drainage area that water is gonna flow through, I mean, unless you're in a really dry period, that water's gonna continue to flow through. Which is a good thing, you know, that prevents this.
Yeah, if
stagnant
it runs
water.
out, if it would run through this culvert to go out underneath 7th Street, then a guy could do away with this thing, and then just stays on top of that, going out around towards Fountain Lake. Right?
I guess I don't follow you.
Well, if you got it running from the north,
Yep.
it's still coming there, coming into this pond just,
Yeah.
and if this culvert ain't taking this water under 7th Street,
That
take
water, if the water comes,
statement off to go out towards Fountain Lake, it would run out that way.
yeah, if the water comes into the pond, the water's gonna go out of the pond through the
Yeah,
pond. It's the only place it
Is
is.
it going through that culvert? though?
Yeah, yep.
Or does that culvert gotta be lowered?
No, the water,
Just-
whatever water comes in goes out through the culvert.
To a certain level.
Certain level, yeah, right.
If we were to change 971, 74 elevation, just hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just change it to 965.
Okay, so to drain the pond completely that way.
Yes, so then what's the state gonna do to us? What are we opening ourselves up for?
I can't answer that. You're opening yourself up to a lot of liability.
Yeah,
I wouldn't wanna go there.
Right.
I wouldn't wanna go
I
there
would
either, I
highly-
was just
I would
kinda
highly
hoping
not
that you could
recommend-
say.
I would highly not
That you
recommend
could
going there.
say, how that would affect the way we do business and everything else, as far as.
You wouldn't ever get an MPCA, you wouldn't ever get to
Not
do
at all.
anything again, and
How
they
would
would, it's a state mandate, so I guess I don't know the law and what they're able to enforce upon you.
How would they know?
Yeah,
Would
I
they,
mean,
would they come and inspect us?
Not that I would wanna do
Sure.
that, but I'm
Would
just
they-
asking.
Do they do
They don't check it. They don't-
inspections of the ponds?
No, because we called them and asked them last year about
Yeah.
inspecting it and checking it,
They
they said no.
usually inspect upon a complaint.
And they said they wouldn't even do
But
that because you
you,
guys
uh,
aren't part of that 9-county or 7-county metro agreement.
They
thing.
will find out at some point, I guarantee it. Not by me,
Sure. I
But-
understand.
I shouldn't say guarantee it, but they will find out at some point. Somebody will have an issue with it.
If you also lowered that culvert, I mean, like Mark said, you're dropping that culvert 6 inches, there's gonna be a lot of water rushing through there pretty fast. what's it gonna do to Seventh
Only
Street?
for a short time.
I know, but are you gonna wash out Seventh Street?
Let's just say there's a lot of environmental advocacy groups out there that are just searching for something like that.
Okay, they'll eventually. Mark, back to your question, I just wonder if we should,
Is there a way that we can complain to the proper state authorities
Mhm.
and say, we have looked at this, it doesn't look right. Would they get involved? Would they come out and look at this again? Would they look at the area north? Would they look at the area south to see if we would change that? Would they do some kind of a study because we are complaining about it?
In my experience, they would not do anything on their own.
They would make sure that
Require
we've got
you to-
971.74 in there, or 971.7, and as long as that's good, they don't care.
They would require you to probably do a full-blown analogy and an analysis on why you don't need 1,800 cubic feet, and to basically go against their standard. I've never heard of it being done before. I'd say the chances of them approving anything would be very slim. I'm not saying you can't do it, but the chances of it being approved are very, very slim.
Who's the governing body for it? Is it pollution control or?
Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, and they are actually governed by the EPA. So the Environmental Protection Agency, federal EPA, has a law that is a big blanket law, and they change that every so often, and then it trickles down to each state, and each state deals with it differently. Minnesota has the Pollution Control Agency to basically take the EPA law and then write more specific rules and guidance for the state of Minnesota on how those general rules should be applied.
Mark, your statement about the state, I think we've come to an agreement that according to this, we can see how this pond since 2005 has grown in size, okay? My suggestion, and it's up to the council if they want to do this, we know where we're at. We've come to some type of resolution binding for an access back to these properties. How about we stop today and the council can decide for themselves? Maybe we should have Wright County Soil and Water Conservation come in and show us what their thoughts are on this, being that they're the governing body for the county that we're in, and see if they have a suggestion. I'm sure they'd be more than willing to come in. My wife has spoken with them. She got maps for the last meeting that we had. They might have a suggestion. They might be saying, you know, we've got too many inlets for this, and,
We actually met with them. And the Board of Water and Soil Resources, and certainly we could call them in again. I'm sure they would meet with us,
I
but
don't think they're a real, I know Wright County Board has got a real sore spot with this ditch out here. They keep trying to get rid of it. They want us to take ownership of it, and that would cost us nothing but money.
yeah.
Can I say one thing? You know, I know by looking at the orange and the different colored lines, it looks like the pond has grown. But we don't, does anybody know what the weather was?
Oh, yeah, like,
What it was in 2005?
When we
It might have been a
moved
very dry year.
I had a
And that pond was,
$500
evaporated.
water bill for 3 months straight, trying to keep my sod alive because we didn't have any rain that
yeah,
summer.
so that line is maybe, you know, when they shot that in 2005, it could be very deceiving because we could have not had any rain for 2 months. And a week later it rained and it was maybe, you know, I'm not saying that it's not in your yard, I know what you're saying, but we don't know when they took these shots, we don't know what the weather was at the time.
is this a Wright County? Did you get this, Wright County?
The aerials are all through Wright County.
Wright, just for the record, Wright County takes the picture same time every year, same day, everything.
So we could
At
look
least
and
that's
see
what they're
what,
telling us.
Yeah.
and they maybe do, I don't
Yeah.
know. And like I said, I have no idea what the weather was, if that
Well,
was a
I-
dry summer or
yeah.
a wet summer.
I don't either, it's just,
We just know it has happened in the last 2 years, just, you know, the last 2 summers watching what we were mowing and where the rocks were versus where the water is now. And that was our concern.
and
The
it's hard to
Same thing
tell.
with the ditch in the back of my yard, because
Yes.
we've had 2 really wet years, I can't get down there. But before that, it was like the desert. But, you know, so I still see two issues here. The issue is, it doesn't hurt to ask. We could ask Wright County, we could ask if they would come in and take a look at what we've done and what we've got and see what they think. Because until, the second part of the issue is that my personal feeling is that they're not gonna do anything, and that this pond is not gonna, it's gonna ebb and flow over the years. It's gonna change, it's gonna get bigger, it's gonna get smaller, there's gonna be erosion, there's gonna be some places where silt fills in other areas. But what I would like to deal with is getting access back there, but if access has got back there, then I still don't wanna have to deal with this pond not supposed to be there, you know? We either, you know, you know, choose your battles.
I think it's gonna be there. It was-
It's gonna
for us,
be
it was
there,
a
I don't
matter
think
of
the
just,
state's gonna
you
let us
know,
get rid of it, I don't think they're gonna let us drain it.
No,
But I'm pretty sure that we could work together with the rest of the homeowners to get access so you guys can get back there and maintain your property. And basically, I think that's what you're asking for, but
that is
as
the
far
biggest
as,
thing, yes.
as far as the rest of it goes, you know, and the blue algae and stuff like that, you know, it's a concern, yeah, but I don't know what to do about that.
Could, bringing up that subject just real quick here, I appreciate the time that we spent on this. I appreciate the council members, mayor, city staff working with us on this, Justin. Yeah, and access would be fantastic. I mean, if we can do that, it'd be more than appreciated, not only from us, but from our neighbors. As far as the pond goes, yes, the pond's always gonna be there. The erosion, we've addressed that. We'll take care of it on their end. I don't know what 705 wants to do with theirs. They were talking with us about their hill falling down. But anyways, I think it would be wise as a suggestion for our city administrator and our council and our mayor to sit down while they're in office this time and come up with some type of a future plan for these ponds that we've got in town, to see if we need to start setting a fund aside.
There is funding already being set aside for these, because I've talked with
Okay.
both Barb and Sean.
Sean is good.
It's on.
A
it's
lot
like
of
a-
concerns,
I-
because
it's
we're
like a
gonna have to,
tank-
we're gonna have
I
to
was
fix
on-
these ponds.
I was unaware of that,
Yeah,
so.
so there is funds already slowly being set aside for
I
all
think
of
we-
these for
And
drainage.
the problem, you don't need to worry about the access.
Correct, that's
We're gonna
already
have
being
to go across
taken care of.
people's yards to get into those ponds, and that's gonna.
Well, I can appreciate that this has already been talked about, because I was unaware of it, but as a resident, and a taxpayer in town, I just can't imagine what we're looking at down the road. It's gonna be a nightmare, I bet.
Because I have a pond in my backyard also, and that's why I had talked with Sean about this already, you know, because I have a second lot that is undeveloped, and they would have easy access getting through there to get back to the pond to, you know, work on the sediment on it, and he said, you know, that they move around, you know, they only can get, you know, a couple ponds a year, but it's on a 10-year rotation that is the plan
Yeah,
to get through
I-
them.
But
I
this
wasn't
pond
aware.
they never could get to, so that never was in the rotation.
Well, but they can, because they have the 10 feet, there's so many feet off your property line that you can build on, that gives the city that access that they can go through
Their
there.
property line, you know, goes way over here.
Correct, but
You
if-
see that
if-
orange line on your
the-
map?
the
Yeah,
yellow-
I see that.
The yellow lines around the house, so they can go right down the property line, they have so many feet on each side of the property that they have the
But if
right
they're
to
gonna-
drive
if they're
skids.
gonna follow that orange line, they're gonna be in about 6, 7 feet of water.
No, the light orange line, I think.
He's talking about this.
The light orange
The
line.
line.
The dotted line.
Around each property,
The dotted line.
around each house,
oh.
there's
You
those
see the
dotted
fire
lines.
pit in the back of Pat's house? See the fire pit
Yeah,
there?
that's illegal.
But you see the orange line right there?
Yeah.
That's dry ground.
Now, if the city has to access through that, we already talked about that, the expense of repairing any fence.
But then we got a fund for that, so
They
the
don't-
city can
they don't
recoup
have
that
expense. We
cost.
have that expense.
take that stuff out of there and fix the pond and then put it back in.
I believe the removing of the landscaping is each homeowner's, because they know that when they put that there, that is in the easement
Yeah,
that the city already
The
has.
Ploucs already said, Lloyd, that they had to sign a waiver when they put their fence there, that they agreed that if there's access needed, they're responsible for taking down that and putting that fence back up if they so wish.
Yeah, we basically had to sign away saying that the fire department needed to mow it over, drive over the top of it, that they could.
Boy, hope I hear the sirens coming first.
A note for you guys, that riprap y'all put in at the end of the peninsula last summer, or last fall. The neighborhood kids from what we call the new trailer park, the townhomes over there, have been out there chucking it into the pond, cause it makes a really big splash.
Yeah, Tim Bakke at 703 is trying to figure out a way to,
Sean and I noticed that the
Protect
riprap
it.
is disappearing over there. and
Yes.
We thought that, in fact, Sean said, oh, I'll put some more riprap in there. That's why.
Tim Bakke is trying to figure out a way to protect
Put
that,
up a
so.
driveways their way over.
How much
Lot of
work,
rocks.
Justin, how much work would, just off the top of your head, is involved to get across 301 there back to, what would be 705's?
Yeah, I think we'd end it right at 705 there, basically, and, I mean, not a ton, I mean, it'd probably be,
So
I don't
we'd
know,
need
30
some-
truckloads, 20, 30 truckloads of dirt maybe,
Yeah.
that might be on the strong end, but
And what do you need? Do you need
Some
just
a
common
few
fill?
days of grading
Or
and,
sand or what?
Probably gravel, I suppose,
yeah,
Could be
or
something
clay,
a
it
little
could be
more,
clay.
yeah, clay and class.
I'm asking because that's what I work for, is a dirt company, and I
Oh,
get all
okay.
that stuff for free.
Oh,
cool,
yeah,
30 truckloads?
Actually, they're just figuring out, Joe Bazinski's out there that are
Oh,
working on a
up
project,
Delano?
I've got 800,000
What are they gonna
yards to
do
get
with their
rid of.
dirt?
They got 800,000 yards to get rid of.
holy cow, that's a lot of dirt. Holy smokes.
So, at this point in the survey, what's the city, what's our cost so far?
It's under 5,000, I know that. I don't know what it is exactly. I don't have it tallied up, I'm sorry. But it is under the 5,000 talked
So the next step would be to be in contact with 301 and 703 and, well, 705. That wouldn't really factor in.
about. I think the next thing we need to do is talk to 301 and discuss with them what our proposal would be.
Is this, Pat, can you tell from their access line to their actual black line where their property is that developed or undeveloped, or?
It's
they
undeveloped.
mowing that?
Like I say, it's pretty much a
All they do
bank
is
that
chip
goes
garbage and
down.
dog poop. That's all they do.
There's a few small sapling trees down through there.
Ideally, it'd be nice to probably hug more of the fence line, kind of stay up high, I thought. You know, that'd be the better route, but that's kind of going off the easement, so we need to get, for sure, get permission from them to do that.
I mean, it'd be wonderful. I think not only do you need to talk with 301, Tim Bakke at 703, and he's even talked about this before, because he said it'd be great if we had just something back there where we could come back across between 703, a little bit of 301, and then break out at 705, and then we would need to, the council would need to speak with 705 and find out if they would be interested in signing off as a utility access and a residential access for, 707 ourselves, 709, and possibly 711 to, be able to use that as common access. If you know what I mean?
No, I didn't follow.
709, 707, 705, 703 would be able to use this on 301.
Yeah, if we got some kind of a path that
Right.
broke out at 705, you know, that buildup would come out at 705's property line probably. And then 705 would have to be in agreement to allow ourselves, 709, possibly 711, to use that little bit of, that 80 feet of their property to access our property. We don't have a problem with the Lunds, they would be more than happy to allow us, I just
Yeah,
wonder
we
about
did have
709.
Would it be possible, Justin, to move that whole access right behind the homes to here? To the west side of the pond? Or is it absolutely necessary that we have access to the east side of the pond?
You mean our drainage and utility easement?
Mm-hmm.
I think we don't wanna give up our drainage and utility easement over there, cause we may need to do some major cleaning of the pond at some point.
But doesn't that go,
That goes all the way to the back, we
property
have
line.
easements all
Oh,
the way.
from that
to-
line all the way to
Yeah,
the
Yeah,
back?
all the way to
Yeah.
the blue dots.
I see.
The water gets up to the blue
I mean,
dot.
technically that is a public easement, so it's a little bit of a gray area, if you ask me, about whether property owners could go across it and access the property. It's for public benefit, so it is the public.
What if we would dig along the west side there and kind of shift the pond over to get it away from the houses?
As you go to the west, that's possible, but as you go to the west, there's a pretty good hill there. So, yeah, it'd be moving a lot of dirt, and you couldn't go too, you could go a little bit to the west to make it steeper, but then you'd have,
And the water would be.
essentially you'd have to move dirt from the west to the east side. You know, that's probably what you do, take some of this dirt over here and move it over here, and fill this in and move the pond this way. But then this would be, I don't know, I don't know.
Well, this
exactly.
land is no good to me.
Right,
But by getting the water away from the houses is what I'm more concerned about, because I don't think people should have to worry about having water in their basements, you know, because of this pond.
I mean, the water elevation would stay the same, so I don't know that it would affect.
Well,
That a
if we
lot.
made this bigger here,
Mm-hmm.
that would draw away from there.
It would draw it away a
And
little
you
bit.
could even put this side of, you know, deeper than, maybe go to 6'8", 6'4". So you get the water to keep going that way.
Would we need permission from the state to do something like that? You can go in and run around without getting their permission.
Yep.
Well, see, that comes back to the issue again, you know, and I'm more than happy to talk about trying to get an easement back here, or something in writing so that it would be an understood thing for these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 houses that are involved. But, you know, the last thing I wanna do is a month after this easement is all wrapped up, then start up the discussion that the pond is gonna be, is in the wrong place again. And, my God, how much is that gonna cost us to move that pond?
Probably $8 per yard of dirt you move,
Like
cubic yard.
Ben says, we got the funds anyway.
the funds that Ben is talking about is money that is being set aside year after year
We don't
to
have the
clean
funds.
storm ponds.
It's a concern of Sean's that we need to clean these ponds so that they started saving, what,
We-
last year or the year
We set
before?
aside money every year as a, money so that we can clean the ponds, yes, they need to be cleaned. Each year they take so many ponds and they clean them out. They rent one of them little backhoe things and they clean the ponds out. That's the money that is being set aside. There's no money set aside to spend, what did you say, $8 per foot? Like,
Per
There's no
cubic
money,
yard.
there's no money set aside for something like to that extent. The money
And
that's being set
that
aside
money
is to
that's
keep the
getting
ponds
set aside
clean.
is robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's not extra money that we've got.
I know that.
Okay.
So,
Justin, can't we get the Army Corps of Engineers in to look at something like this, get their opinion, like they do with the rivers and all that stuff?
No, it's, the Corps of Engineers is jurisdiction over waterways. And this is a
Public-
private.
Private situation that we
it's-
gotta try and
Right,
solve.
it's the city's pond, so they don't really deal with storm ponds.
City's pond, I want some.
They deal with
fish in
wetlands, waterways, lakes, rivers, streams, things like that.
there. We dig it deeper and
Fish.
keep it in.
Might as well.
Lake Montrose.
Ain't gonna get the
Well,
problem
with that,
solved
let's
anyway.
throw trout in there and we can sell fishing poles and
Yeah, put
make some
fish in
money.
it.
Have you checked for fish? I've got fish in
I had a
mine.
former neighbor that threw some in there, and about a week later, the egrets were in
They're
there
all
just having a party.
They'll die from
Yeah,
the
we
chemicals
can-
Yeah,
coming from
yeah.
the trailer park.
We just told them.
I know our neighbors do. We've got neighbors that have another little pond that they
Wendy,
catch.
are
that
you
says some
taking
fish.
notes?
She gave up.
Camera's on.
The camera's on.
Okay. How about this? Can we, let me just throw this out there for everybody, if we would. We're gonna have to talk with our city attorney, because let's just say 703 sells their home next year, and, so we're gonna have to have a lasting.
It'd be a recorded
Be-
easement.
We're gonna have to have a
Recorded
lasting
Yeah.
easement agreement.
We'd have everybody sign it at this point, the homeowners that are there currently, and that would be recorded at the county, so it would never leave the property.
Great. And we're gonna need him involved for that. And then we're gonna need the existing 5 homeowners involved in this and reach a consensus on the easement. The reason being that they, like 705 has to know that Pat's gonna go across his part of the property to get to his property.
And then 709 would go across 705 and 707 to get to 709.
So,
And it wouldn't be a blanket easement, it'd probably be defined 10-foot wide easement. That way it would limit you from just going all over their
Right,
property. and
exactly,
Using
yeah.
it, you know.
And the same thing for 709
Yeah,
against my property.
exactly.
I don't know, I mean, I'm thinking that maybe the city would go in there and maintain that easement so that there's no doubt about that 10-foot wide easement as far as mowing it or something like that, to make sure that, how
Yep.
people that seem to encroach on property lines always and stuff like that. Anyway, that would be, let's see if we can get Justin and Andy together to draft something. To me, that's the most common sense thing that we can do as far as right now.
Do you wanna talk with 301 that prior to this, or?
Yeah, I think that would be more beneficial before we stick dollars into it, having Justin and Andy get together. Let's make sure that 301 is willing to, because if we stick, dollars into it and draft it
If
up.
they don't-
Three-
they're not
and
agreeing with
301
it.
says, no, we just, we're done.
Okay, so who's gonna talk to 301? My thought was, if those two come up with the language and the terminology that we're looking for, to be able to present it to 301, rather than if I call up 301 and say, well, this is what we wanna do, and then that all changes 2 weeks later, you know what I'm saying? I wanna get something precise as far as a paragraph of what the intent is, so that 301 can look at it and think about it. That would be something that you could do at a minimal.
Yeah, I guess typically how we do easements, how I find them most successful is usually I'll just create an unofficial exhibit or figure, and I
Yeah.
could probably use this same one right here. I draw a couple lines on this piece of paper, and I'd say 10-foot wide proposed easement, and I'd draw it along here, 10-foot wide, like that.
Yep.
And I'd hatch it in, like so. And I would go and I'd meet with the property owners, I'd start at 301, and I'd say, we'd like to sit down and discuss a possibility of getting some access across here for some other properties, and I explained to them where it's at, I show them on the picture where it's at, what it's used for, and it would be a permanent easement that would be binding and recorded with the property. And then if they say absolutely no way, I'm not gonna, not unless you condemn the property, I'm not ever gonna let you do it.
Then we're dead in the water.
Then we're
There's
dead in
no
the
sense
water.
in going on with it.
Or if they say, yep, sounds good, I like it, then
On
we,
to the
then,
next.
then I work with Andy, and then we draft up the legal document, and then we do the, sort of dot the i's and cross the t's from there.
Well, it could be disclosed
Yep.
also that
Yep,
this
that
is,
sounds
There
good.
you go.
could be disclosed also that this is a city right-of-way easement for a
I would
drainage
absolutely,
pond.
I would absolutely start with that, tell them
Yeah.
that, yeah.
And just say, you know, some type of, we need a permanent access to get in here in order to maintain this,
I
now
would
and in the future.
Have a discussion with Andy about that even before I start this, just to get his opinion on that. I have a suspicion that Andy would wanna have a separate easement to officially allow that access. I'm sure that's be his position, but I'll double check with him.
Sure.
To make sure that he doesn't say, oh, you got public drainage utility easement, that's good enough.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, my wife and myself, we have no problem giving them that right away. I mean, it would be absolutely fantastic and it would benefit our neighbors to the north and
I think it benefits everybody because nobody's able to use the
Nobody's using the
properties
property
right now,
anyway, so
right?
they're not losing anything.
How does that sit with you, Lloyd?
Well, at least they'll be able to get it cut, yeah.
As far as,
And-
as
and-
far as the rest of it goes, I can't even speak to that because I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know
how to
what's
fix it.
gonna happen
Right.
3 years from now. If this thing grew this much in 2 years, 3 years from now, we'll be back here and then we have to shift the pond anyway, but at least we used.
But you won't be here, you won't have to worry.
Well, yeah,
Well,
I hate to
that-
push,
that
kick the
easement
can
there-
down the road, I hate to use that word.
Yeah.
But like I said before, it doesn't hurt to ask
In 3 years, if
Wright
this water,
County Soil and Water, the conservation, or even the state to take a look at this. And that's something that you could do for us too, right?
mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, we've already, Carl Hammers with Wright Soil and Water District already met with me and a few others, and so he's familiar with the situation. But I could certainly call him again and ask him if he has any other ideas.
Okay.
But I mean, they're not really,
Sure.
it's
I understand.
MPCA
Yeah.
requirements, and they have to follow the same rules we have to follow, but I'll certainly call them and talk to them.
We'll just put a,
See if there's anything,
yeah, put
if he
it,
has any ideas, or maybe they got some funding to do
Well,
something, or
yep.
some erosion,
Explore that, explore that,
erosion,
and give us a memo on what you find out.
Sure. And Lloyd, if in 3 years, if the water edge in 3 years is 10 feet further closer to the homes, then we probably need to blow all this landscaping out of here and bring in some equipment and do some grading and put in some permanent erosion. That's what I would suggest. I mean, if this indeed is eroding, and in 3 years it's 10 feet further up closer to the houses, then that would be my recommendation. At that time, that the fences come out, the landscaping comes out, and we need to maintain that drainage and utility easement for the intended purpose.
Oh, you'd have to push the water back, so you'd have to build the soil
Yep.
up and.
Yep.
Yep, that's
And
what
then we
I'm
put
saying.
some permanent
Yeah.
erosion in there.
This access though also would be beneficial for our fire department. Right now, I mean, if we get a grass fire back in this area, this gets very dry back here. I mean, Mr. Epple has his crops put in. I hate to see the fire department plowing down crops
Get in
to,
there.
They're going right over 303's property there, they've got that easement.
well, right now it's a bank like this. so
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They never get back there.
Don't
Challenge.
Yeah, I used to live there. I know.
Push lawnmower there.
Okay,
A rider lawnmower won't even go.
Yeah, it's pretty steep, so.
they had to go across Mr. Apple's property there, then we would be responsible for the damage.
Okay, good.
But they're gonna go back in there and stop that fire before it gets to the homes.
Mhm.
Now, if
But what I'm
there's a
saying, if,
fire,
if,
they're gonna go. I'm not
if
searching
this,
them.
if this is beneficial and we can get this in, I mean, it'd be a great access for.
So, do we need a motion to direct Justin, or can the council just, because we have a consensus on this?
I think I do a
Motion.
Make a motion to direct Justin to talk with Andy first, as far our city attorney, to make sure that he's going along the same lines as you are as far as the easement goes. Them to talk to the occupants of 301 first, and if they're agreeable with that, then we go ahead and draft up some language as far as the easement goes. Or maybe even at that point, should we have the motion say that then at that time we would talk to all the homeowners involved.
You can make the motion general and just direct me to work with property owners at 703, 301, 705, 707,
Okay.
711.
All right, let's do it that way then, to work with those property owners to get an easement.
I'll second
second.
that.
You got it.
All right, I'll second that motion.
Motion made by Mark, second by Ben. I vote aye. Mark,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Ben,
Aye.
Lloyd.
Aye.
Motion carried 5-0.
Okay, make another motion then to have Justin talk to the Wright
County Soil and Water District.
County Soil and Water District about that. And pending that, maybe even take it a step farther and talk to the state. If he so directs, whatever you get for, I'll leave that general to just pursue that as far as, we've got concerns.
Second.
Motion by Mark, second by Michelle. Justin to talk to Soil and Water District. I vote aye. Mark,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Ben,
Aye.
Lloyd.
Aye.
Motion carried 5-0. That's about it, I guess.
Thank you, council, Mr. Mayor, Justin, for helping us through with this.
Thank you.
Thanks for being patient with us. This is,
Concerned residents, homeowners yourselves, I'm sure you can see our point.
Yep.
We appreciate your time. Mr. Apple, thank you for coming.
Okay, the way the pond level is now, but if you set it, the pond level right today is your concern, but she comes through when, otherwise it would have been way out in the field other years. But she comes through, they're good.
Your property's getting wider and your bridge is falling down. Water moving somewhere.
We had to rebuild, it washed it all out.
so have you, in the past years, you've seen it up into your field?
Oh, yeah, many, many times. But see, then it was the old time 12-inch. Now the two, but everything is pertaining to the water level like it is right now. So if you do something on the east side,
Are you talking about up into your field up here, or in your field down in the, closer, like by your barn down there?
oh, but when it comes under 7th Street now, she's
Oh,
coming
okay,
up.
so you, I thought when you said you'd been up into the field up
Oh,
here, I was
yeah,
like, oh my
yeah.
God, are you kidding me?
Oh,
Why
no,
would water
no.
be up to our second story?
Where that darkness is on your, where your finger was?
Uh-huh,
Oh, yeah. If it would have been the old time 12, it would have been way up.
oh, up on the northern part more, not, Not like right behind us.
For the
No,
whole
it was
trees,
pasture.
trees and everything would have been
Oh,
all
Thank you, Mayor.
about 8 inch
I
late.
think we've got another meeting here, don't you?
We're not done yet.
No, I guess there's another item.
I'm gonna excuse myself.
Thanks, Justin.
Thank you.
Sure you won't find no bodies out there.
Yeah, they are the birds.
Thank you. Copies of-
Thanks again.
at home.
That's good.
I think it's right here. Oh, wait, no, that's her notes.
Mark, thank you for your time. Thanks, Matt. Michelle, thank you.
Yep, ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm on this one. Blake,
Thanks.
thank you. Mr. Thomas?
I didn't consider she could be the seniors.
Okay, next thing on the agenda, senior citizen.
I've always gotten mileage and I've written down my mileage. The statements always come in around the end of November. I've never had to produce a financial statement because, and I don't legally have to because I have to, Montrose Senior Citizens is a volunteer organization, and they don't have to come in that category. And I'd like this all in writing, if this is what I have to do. It should have been a long time ago then.
Okay, now, I got one question here to ask. As long as did we ever have to look at the paperwork or the bookwork for like Montrose, council,
Montrose
the
City Committee?
Yeah, do we ever look at their books still? I've
You
never
can
heard
ask
of this
them.
either way before.
You can ask them to look at their books. I just did Sunday night and they showed me everything I wanted to see.
But the rest of the council didn't see anything.
You could ask them.
Is the Montrose City Council ever given Montrose Celebration Days Committee money?
No.
But they collected money from the cities, people to sponsor it. So there's gotta be
Right, they get,
money
But-
someplace.
But
that
not
should be
from, they've
accounted.
never come to the council and we've never given them money, right?
all the organizations here in town do take sponsorship, you know. They go and ask different businesses or different residents or whatever to sponsor their events or help them out. No other committee gets money from the city. No other organization gets money from the city.
And this is only because of the mileage deal.
Well,
This is the only thing I've ever gotten was mileage, and Charlie Nelson, the mayor, Charlie Nelson, is the one that put that into effect.
What happened was, what came about was, there was discussion about the seniors. I know you don't play cards here anymore, but you were still serving meals. However, the people that you're serving the meals to is the 5 public works employees who are not members of the senior citizens. Travis Millhausen's 4 employees who are not members of the senior citizens. I don't know, from what I've been told, there's usually only 1, 2, 3 other people that
There's
come.
about 5 totally.
And one of them is from Maple Lake. One of them is Hermie Apple, who's not a citizen of Montrose. He's a resident of the township. So what's happening is the taxpayers' tax dollars are paying your mileage to go do the senior citizen meals. However, that's not feeding senior citizens.
We've lost a lot of senior citizens in the past.
And so that's what came up, and Bart's concern is as the treasurer, the clerk treasurer, it's her responsibility to make sure the tax dollars are spent the appropriate way. So she talked to Andy at the attorney's office, and he did come up with, he sent this just today, she just got it, that talks about how the tax dollars can be spent. And that's where it all started, and that's why there was a discussion about the mileage, the reimbursement of the mileage. I know in the past you had senior citizens, but now, from what we've been,
Since the card players are gone, we don't have as many.
yeah, and so,
And that's fine, Wendy. I don't need that mileage, but I don't even need the building.
that's where the discussion came from, was what's legal and what's not, because we didn't want to get in trouble for, if we're spending tax dollars that we can't legally spend, that's why it was brought
There's a
up.
lot of tax dollars spent that isn't legal in this town.
That's your opinion, I'm just stating what.
Yes, I know it's my
I'm just
opinion,
stating the
and a
facts
lot
that I
of
was
others
told.
too.
I'm just stating the facts, and it's based on what Andy sent to Barb, which is all in writing that came with the packet. So that is why, that's what warranted the discussion.
So you got a copy of this then, Sylvia, right?
Yeah,
All
right.
right.
The mayor gave me a copy.
Right, so yeah, that's the one thing that's got me concerned is, the second paragraph down, Minnesota statutes, section 471.935 specifically allows the city to appropriate money to support the facilities, programs, and services of a public or private, not-for-profit senior citizen center. However, the statute is clear that the senior center must be organized, an organized entity, usually taking the form of a not-for-profit corporation. There is no indication that the residents currently being reimbursed by the city are members of such a corporation. Therefore, I must recommend that the city discontinue financial support of this otherwise worthy endeavor, unless and until the residents involved form a valid not-for-profit organization, and evidence of such formation is provided to the city.
And what's that? What do you want me to do?
I don't know. I'm just reading to you what I just read here,
I
and
read
then did you say that you didn't? You didn't have to do that? I
was to the understanding we did not have to have no financial statement because it's a volunteer organization.
Okay. So that seems to be,
And we've only had money to support ourselves. I mean, to buy supplies and things like that. I don't know what you want. We're no big thing making money.
Spend a lot of time at it.
And there's no doubt about that. I mean, that's not the question. The question is
Okay,
without feeding, without supporting, there's no seniors going to the senior organization, so legally, we can't spend the tax dollars because
There is no tax dollars really being spent.
well, the
It was
mileage,
$500.
the $500 for the
Well,
mileage.
you can keep it, you didn't give it to me one year, so it wouldn't make any difference, okay?
Well, that was a discussion because we didn't want to just not pay you.
Well,
We
that's
wanted to
how
make
it
sure we had
was
some
one
discussion
year,
about
you
it.
just didn't do it. You didn't put it in the budget.
Now, if Delano asks for another donation like they did when we first started the seniors, are you gonna give it to them?
We never have given them any.
No, because
we brought it up to
I
start the
had
senior club.
interjected and said, well, if you're gonna give it to Delno, you might as well give it to Montrose. And then Charlie said, yeah, that's the way it should be.
So I don't know if we let you
What are you gonna say, Michelle?
I thought Roy was gonna say something.
It says, bring no more questions, we'll adjourn.
Well, I do have another question, because we have a group, who's putting on National Night Out? Is it the seniors, or is it the city?
I think the city is, that's my understanding, it's a city function.
And are we doing it in Lions Park?
I
So
don't know where it's
So I
being
can
done.
pull, so I should pull the permit? Cause I can pull the permit, the city can pull the
Where we
permit
had it last year.
in Lions Park, where they're
Yeah.
at.
I know there's no money in this fund,
Pardon?
there's no money in this fund, I said.
In National Night Out?
Well, there is
Yeah.
in National Night
Yeah.
Out.
Isn't
A
that in the
lot of
budget?
money.
Wasn't that in the budget?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
350.
So there shouldn't be no qualms.
350 was what I had collected from last year.
Now, there's about,
800.
400, there's a little over $400 or a little under $500 actually still left from last year. Plus the city budgeted $350 for National Night Out, so there's probably right around $800 for National Night Out. So we don't have to do any fundraising or anything this year.
Well, that's what I figured anyhow. I knew that a long time ago.
Okay, question for anybody who would answer it. In that same paragraph, it would also be beneficial to require the organization to provide regular financial balance sheets to the city, so the city is able to evaluate how its appropriations are being used and whether they are being used for the purposes stated under the contract. So there's nothing being provided by the seniors at this time, and the only thing that we have for National Night Out is what Wendy has on the books as far as what's in the budget. And that's, who is the reporting organization for National Night Out? The city, okay.
I think the reason the financials was brought up is because the city gave the $500 for the mileage.
I gave
And then-
you copies of my mileage.
Right.
I
and then-
couldn't give you any more.
Yeah, and then the city also, with the wagon train, gave the money that benefited from. the
They
wagon train.
got that too.
They got it.
We paid for the product that you bought.
Right.
We paid you for that, but you got to keep the donations that they were
Right.
made. And that's the part that Andy's talking about, the financial part of it is,
That would
because
be-
the city is-
That's not a not-for-profit then.
That's right. That wasn't enough to even
Sneeze.
say you got.
Yeah, but I don't care about the dollar amount. I don't care if it's a penny or $1,000. Not-for-profit means that nobody takes a penny, nobody takes $1,000, right? For-profit would be just the opposite of what he's talking about here. Am I wrong?
Right.
Goes on to say it's important that the city tread carefully in this area, as there is always a possibility of Minnesota State Auditor to review or to audit to purported public expenditures.
So what you're saying then is if the state auditor was to come and we gave $200 from the wagon train to the seniors, we have to
That make
have a
them,
paper trail.
does that make them a profit organization?
I don't know. I honestly don't know that answer.
Well, I don't think it would be a profit if you have taken and put this money back into the seniors.
And I guess that's what he's asking for if we see the books, and that money's still sitting in there.
No, it's gone. We don't even have the amount of money that the old senior citizen gave us at the bank because of the waffle breakfast.
It
Plus
costs
it
more.
owes me money.
I see.
What do we take out of our account,
So
300
that's gonna have to be something that we gotta
I
follow up
don't,
with
I'd
Andy.
have to go
Because
back and look.
I'm at the end of the information that he gave me for us.
So all the fundraising that the seniors have done,
They've only
That
done one or two. The one, they lost money clear to the butt, and then they had to replenish it with, the reindeer, and pay for the reindeer.
See, that's what he's talking about as far as the
But
financial
you
statements or the
didn't
books.
give me any money for the reindeer.
No, but as a if you're a nonprofit organization or a volunteer, whatever you are, if you're taking money in and spending money out, you should have record of everything, showing what came in, what went out, you know, just like a financial statement, just like your own checkbook, even
Well,
how
I
your
guess
money in and
maybe
out.
then we should have something drawn up in the code of ethics or in the code.
But the seniors
that we
aren't part
should
of this,
have.
but the seniors aren't part of the city.
That's
Right.
right.
But that's what we're
But-
saying is if we're giving you money because you're not part of the city and the city's giving you money, you should be showing us where it's going so that we're not getting in trouble for how it's being spent.
We showed you where it was, Wendy, with the mileage,
that's for the meals on
for the
Wednesdays.
meals, yes. But you never gave us no money for nothing else.
The wagon train. How much?
But I don't know that.
Okay, then should I charge you per hour for the work I put into
I think you're
that?
misunderstanding what he's
That would
saying
be,
is,
for profit.
even if we're reimbursing you for mileage, it's still part of the money that you're taking in and spending out. You know what I mean? It's still part of your organization, the money coming in and going out. So you still have to have a trail for it. You still have to, what he's saying is that you still need to show the books for the money that you're spending on the reindeer, the money that you're
I can let you
taking
see
in.
them, but I'm not letting you see them today, because they're not in my hands right now.
This is just what came from Andy, so, and like Mark said, maybe we need to get a little more clarification from him.
Well, maybe Andy needs to drop a phone. That's expected.
And I don't think I'll be signing the form.
And you'll have to tell the city people they can't eat lunch there anymore because they're not seniors.
Well, the city guys, yeah, that's fine. I mean,
Okay,
go get
so,
lunch.
So then we're gonna be running for 3 or 4 people.
And no, we're not going to do it.
that's kind of
Money
the
will
point, is
just
they're not seniors,
in the
why are we
bank.
paying for their mileage to feed our public works? So it's like we're paying Sylvia to feed the public works, which is not right. That's where, I mean,
Well, that's what I said, that
Yeah.
we shouldn't eat there.
Well, that's.
Or
But the-
Travis.
But the mileage is gonna cost just as much for 3 or 4 people as it does
That's
for
right.
15 or 20 people.
but either way, the city's not paying mileage anymore.
That's right, because I don't want it. I don't even
So then
want
what do
it
we got,
building.
what kind of problem we got then? She doesn't want the
Do we-
mileage now, and he's all volunteer now.
If the mileage is on the books, do we need to make a motion to have that rescinded?
It was part of the budget, so you could make a motion that it's not, based on Sylvia's recommendation, that we won't be paying anymore. Or based on Sylvia's comment, or that she doesn't want it, or however you want to word it. Because it is part of the budget.
You just need a motion?
I think you should, yeah, because it's part of the budget.
Okay. I will make the motion then to, under Sylvia's direction, to stop paying the $500 mileage to the seniors.
I'll second that motion.
Discussion?
Okay.
Has mileage been paid out this year so far?
No.
not till October.
Yeah, like Sylvia put in her mileage request last year at like about the end of the year, cause I remember seeing, you know,
November, the end
multiple
of
pages
November.
of them and.
Motion by Michelle, second by Ben. Mark, how you vote?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Lloyd?
No.
I vote no. Motion carried 3-0.
You shouldn't even vote.
Okay, I'm abstaining. 3-1. So, anything else? I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So if we shouldn't even bother directing Andy to,
No,
because you're
I'll
not,
take and pull everything out of there,
you don't want to,
and I'll call everybody for
the
tomorrow
books.
and say, don't, nothing. We're done. The city don't really want us in there, so that's how we'll do it.
That's not true.
Yes, it is,
No, it
Michelle,
isn't.
because
No, it is not.
you
See,
went
this is the same,
snooping your nose into that soup kitchen, and this is when it all started.
But it's the law, it's, what we're
it's
doing
not
right now
the
is
city.
the
We
law.
have the paperwork here that says it's the law. So unless you want the city to continue to go against the law, we can do that. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna be a part of that. I'm not gonna be a part of an organization giving money to something that is not even benefiting.
You're not part of the organization.
You're right. I'm not going to be a part of the city that's going to give money to an organization that is not benefiting our community. Because the only thing that these seniors are benefiting now, right now, is 5 Public Works, which is actually 4 because Anna doesn't go. So it's 4 guys
It's
and
five
Travis.
guys.
5 guys in trouble. We have 5
Okay,
guys.
right, okay. So what benefit is there? I mean, the city is more than happy to help you build this and make it bigger and get seniors to come in there and,
Well, I haven't seen you
Participate.
doing anything because you
every
got
time,
51 of them out of here.
no,
We didn't
we,
send anybody
no,
anywhere.
you called those card people.
But it was because you said we couldn't have lunch anymore.
We
No.
can't by law.
We did not say that. We said you could have a group, your group, and you could post it up there as a group for you, and you chose to call your people and say, the city wants no part of you. And from my understanding, some of them city people came up here and got information as to what really happened. You made the phone call, not us,
But
So-
yous called me.
and said you need to be an organization. We,
And we
my,
were.
no, you were not.
Yes, we were.
I told you, as did Councilman Kratzer tell you, do not stop playing cards.
You did
You
not.
can continue to play
Until
cards.
after it was all done and over with.
And I know about who come up here and asked
I
too.
know who it was.
Yeah, I know who it was too, because they were nothing but troublemakers.
Well, the money that's in the bank will stay there until I get something going again. Plus that money owes me money.
How does it owe you money?
How?
Yes.
For our waffle breakfast.
For the Dad's Belgium waffle.
Do you have a paper trail on that?
Yes,
That you-
I do.
So you have a paper trail on that, but you don't have one on the wagon train. I mean, the city,
Yes, there has to be one on the wagon train.
you got money from the
I
city.
gave all of the money to Barb, okay?
Okay.
And the council dispersed it to me. So they should have a paper trail.
And the money that was dispersed to you, where's that money now?
You gave us the receipts for the cost of everything,
Right.
and we paid you for that. But what Michelle is saying, the money that people paid when they came and ate, we didn't. get-
We turn around and take that
It was
money
given
and
back
pay
to
the
you.
cafe for the meals.
What was given back to us?
Every
We
meal.
gave you the money back from the wagon train. And then you had wrote a check because you wanted a paper trail. The meeting is over, so I don't know what you're writing down. And now this is a whole different meeting. This is going into something else that you can't do legally.
It's a
It was
discussion
the
on
seniors.
Right.
Yeah, but it's not. It's going into wagon train and every
Well, that
other
was
thing.
part
Which is a part of the seniors.
That was, that meal was part of
seniors
the
run
seniors.
that.
Well, it's no longer part of Montrose, the wagon train.
But the seniors put it on, right?
Right.
And that,
Well, you should know. You helped, Mark.
yeah, and I counted the money. I'm trying to remember how much I counted out of the jar.
It's written down.
But that money then got paid to the city for,
I turned it over to them.
okay, so then what
And
happened
they
to it?
gave me a check,
For the food that you buy?
or whatever it was.
Let me
Whatever
check that.
we made, the food we made.
Yeah.
Mark served a lot of food.
Yeah, we served over 100 people that day.
And it was only by what they wanted to give. It was no set price.
Donation.
But that will still come to town next year, but it will be someplace else. It's already in the works.
So my question is then the same. If they're a not-for-profit organization, the seniors, and like on Dad's Belgian waffles, they lost money because it cost you more to put it on than what you sold.
That's right.
If that's the case, then
You're nonprofit.
you're not-for-profit, but then you were saying that that somebody still owed you money for that.
The seniors owe me some money yet for it. Because we gotta keep a certain amount in that account.
Sure. Can't close out the account just because you lost money on Dad's
That's
Belgian
right.
waffles. Okay.
And that's why you do not see me at many things anymore, because I didn't see anybody at the Dad's Belgian waffle, and I didn't see anybody from the council at the reindeer thing either.
So I know.
Oh, yeah, you were.
Oh, I know.
I helped donate cookies.
Yeah, you
I-
did.
I helped set up,
The city just gave $100 to
didn't they?
Yeah, Mark helped
the
set up.
senior night at the high school.
I helped
No,
set
they're
up.
a nonprofit
You were
organization.
there.
Okay, but do
Right.
you get a financial statement from the school?
It's they're through the school themselves, so. The graduation, the all-night graduation is
Right.
part of the community, it goes like through the community ed.
To be a
So when
non,
it's an
The
established,
VFW even donated money to that.
The Lions donate to it.
well, I know that, but it's a
It's a
an
501c, it's a
organized
501c3 organization.
organization.
Yep. Because in order for the Lions to give to it, it has to be a 501c3.
It has to be.
and that would classify them as a nonprofit, correct? Is becoming a 501c3 cost money, or is it?
Yes,
I'm in
lots.
process right now for $2,000.
Oh, wow.
That's what it's up to now?
$1,000 filing fee, $1,000 legal fee.
But
That's ridiculous to become a nonprofit organization.
not, it doesn't say 501c3, it says not-for-profit here.
That is a not-for-profit.
So that's the only thing
That's
that,
them putting.
a not-for-profit tells me that if the seniors have their books and they have their officers and they've got an account and that they're not taking money for profit, all the money that they take in goes back into the seniors, that's a not-for-profit organization, not necessarily a 501c3.
Right.
Well, you have to be within the state, you have to have the, like right now, I am a,
Well, then you would think that he would have said that here. That's why I
Well-
would like to talk to him and get more information.
my other organization, I'm in a corporation,
Yeah,
which I am a not-for-profit, and I have the paperwork in my truck, what that is. And so it's not a full 501c3, so there is another form,
So
but
it's,
it's still costing, that one costing $500.
oh,
to become
so it's
that.
considerably cheaper though then.
It is. So, and that entitles me to go and get, with our bread and juice and stuff, we get donations, but I have to write down the donations, and I can only carry a certain amount of money every year, and then I can't go over a certain amount, and I have to donate it then.
You cannot show,
A profit of any form, no. No. And if they're, like, say, I can only make $500 and I have $1,000 in my account because I've been given donations or whatever, I then have to give up that $500 and donate it to, which we just donated to the school, and we, like, $300, and we just donated to the Backpack Buddies, a couple $100. We cannot show any form of profit, no.
And you can only hold $500?
Well, I'm just throwing out a number.
I mean, are you limited to
Did
how
they-
much?
did
I
they
mean,
tell
We're
you
you can't
limited to like
continue-
$10,000 or
Okay,
something like
so
that.
you can continue to grow,
Mm-hmm,
okay,
mm-hmm.
but you can only donate to other
Not-for-profit
not-for-profit
organizations.
organizations.
Mhm. So, yeah, like I said, with the incorporation that I am right now, you know, we get donations, and
Right.
we have an account for that, and we have to show that, and then once we hit a certain amount, we then have to give it to whatever.
You have to
not-for-profit.
pay it
And do you
Yep.
have to have an annual audit?
That we do annual tax
You do
audit.
990s.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
The only way you can keep your status is to do a 990T.
Yep.
And that's, you have to show your incomes, and you have to show what you take in, your profit and what you spend out.
And what we put out, yeah, yeah. It's like I said, we just donated to the school, and we just donated to Backpack Buddies.
I
And
think you were asking whether they had a CPA come in and do an independent one.
Yeah.
You don't have to if you're under a certain dollar amount, you don't
Yeah,
have to.
if
And
we're
I
under
bet you you don't-
$10,000.
I'll bet you don't do that.
No, I don't have an audit, no.
If you're over $10,000.
If you're over
you have to do-
10,000, you do.
If you're over 10,000, you have to have a financial review. If you're over 500,000, you have to have an actual audit. So she's under the 10,000 threshold, so she doesn't even need a financial review. But she has to file her tax forms with the state, or you lose your
And do you
status.
have to have another person involved with signing checks and all
We have
that?
to have a board. Mhm.
You do have to have a board?
Yes,
Okay.
I have a board of,
Okay.
there's 5 of us.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, and you have to, you know, have one person as your president, you know, treasurer, secretary, all that. Well, we made the motion. Right, we made the motion.
second and then voted on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we voted. Roy started a motion to adjourn, but
Oh, that's
we
right.
stopped.
Did you-
Oh, I didn't hear that, sorry. No,
Sorry, we adjourned.
We made the motion.
We
there's no
made this,
second.
we have to second.
I'll say.
Okay, vote.
aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Ben,
Aye.
Lloyd,
Aye.
I vote aye, motion carried 5.
I've got to run. The vote you had, and they put it 3-1, which is, it recognizes you can no vote. Just a break
Yeah,
in
I'm in the
procedure.
process of doing another one right now.
You were talking about the vote,
I thought that's.
the 3-1-1?
that's ridiculous.
Roy abstained.
Yeah, well,
I've
the
got
first
it recorded
attorney I
that way.
went through is, it was $1,000 fine.
If I understood
$1,000
correctly.
legal fee.
Yep.
What
And
Now
I
I met with an
listened,
attorney.
to tentatively.
Made me my
The
corporation.
vote should have been recorded
$750
3-1-1,
That's what I
filing
wrote
fee.
down, because I.
300.
but that's not what he said.
Oh, I think he said 3-0 or something. or 3.
Yes, he
Yeah,
did.
he said 3. Yeah.
And
You can have that.
it just,
Yeah, okay, I
whatever it's recorded as,
I have it recorded.
ultimately is.
on it.
That's one thing that disappoints me is, you he wants it.
Yes.
She
So
gave
did
us
Oscar or
direct
Anoka or somebody.
what she
Yeah.
wanted, but
Yeah,
is upset with it.
well, and to be honest with you, if you do a,
I'm sorry, say again?
She gave us what she wanted us to do, and when we voted on it and did what she wanted us to do, she's upset with it. It's one thing
And
that
turns
gets,
around and pushes.
yeah,
it
shut those
down.
windows,
it
mark and lock.
gets me, you know, and I'm thankful for what Sylvia does and puts into the community, and Roy also. They put a lot